Hola, ¿cómo estás? Me llamo Travis. Bienvenidos. We are live-o.
There's that wave. Chris Simmons, Travis Terrell. I'm wearing the same shirt for the second time in a week.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
It's my B-Rabbit. You say it before they can.
Oh, boy.
We're at Midcoast Studio in Grand Center in St. Louis, Missouri. Excited to be here. Very fun show planned for you today. Our good friend Chris Davis leaves us for Nashville and a new opportunity closer to home. He'll join us in the 9 o'clock hour, and then we'll have comedian Erica Rhodes, who's at Helium tonight at 8:30 today. Travis Terrell, I mentioned you're here. We got a surprise we'll unveil when our first guest
I
gets
love
here.
unveiling.
So that'll be a good time. But first, let's say hello to the Witcher's assistant, Christopher Gardner.
Hey, Guardsy.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Magic Eye and what is it? Adebise?
Ah, from Oz. Thank you.
Whoa.
The way you're wearing your hat.
Oh,
there.
thank you. Yeah, I looked at that
Don't
for a
say
moment. That's
thank
why.
Adebisi was a rapist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was a terrible human being. I forgot.
He's
Well,
bad.
he was in prison.
It's true, Chris. He was.
A lot of
Yeah,
good
that's-
lot of
that's,
good men in prison.
No, that's fair. But we know that he was not.
He was
one
not
of
a good
those.
man.
Yes.
He was not.
We're-
He gave a guy AIDS by pricking him with the needle.
Yeah.
That was.
Adebisi was so mean.
You were so rude, sir.
Yeah.
And then on Game of Thrones, he got out of prison and he went and was a slave trader. He tried to make the little guy a slave.
Really?
Yeah.
He was in.
How's
Game
that?
of Thrones?
He was.
As a slaver. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think it was an episode.
Hanging out in Slaver's Bay,
Yeah.
where slavers hang out.
Apparently. I
You would think so with that name.
think it'll be easier to
Of course,
spot.
some
They have their
people
own
assume
bay.
I'm a gardener.
This is also
And
not
that's
true
not
at all. I don't
accurate.
think anybody's ever thought that with you.
Oh,
They ever
no.
think you were a point guard for Mizzou?
You want a little story?
Here we go.
Oh boy.
'Cause
Ron,
my brother, Marcus Denman, played there as well.
uh-huh. Ron Jacober used to be the sports director over at KMOX when I was working there. And he was doing sports on a Sunday morning, as they have for a number of years over there. And it was during the Thomas Gardner era, and he's doing highlights one morning, and I'm on my way into work,
Right.
and I'm listening, and I start laughing out loud in the car because you hear him throwing to the highlight going, Chris Gardner was a bundle of energy for the Tigers yesterday.
That's
Gardner to the rim, jam time, or whatever it was for Mike Kelly. And I was like, he screwed up and said my name. And so I cut that, and I have that somewhere.
That's
That's
outstanding.
fantastic.
Yeah.
You should make a highlight reel of all the times important, smart people have said your name on the radio.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I used to have the one of Will Smith at a press junket when he was doing stuff for the Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
And I had it on my voicemail at one point, and he said, Chris Gardner could only happen in America. And I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
That's
is
It's pretty
nice.
true.
yeah. So there's stuff like that. But Chris thought we weren't going to notice he was wearing the same shirt twice in 1 week, and tried to take that from us for mentioning it, which I appreciate that strategy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were going to point that
Straight up.
because did you start a new laundry? You did laundry recently, so then you have a
I do
new
laundry
rotation.
regularly. Yeah. Very true. So I threw some laundry in on Tuesday before. I believe I wore this Monday.
Yeah, because that was our Magic Eye discussion day.
And I stood there at my mirror on my closet in my room, and I held this shirt. And I thought, surely this isn't that tough of a show that I couldn't slip this by. But I was wrong. Pre-show, I was called out.
Mm-hmm.
I could do the Travis thing and make note of the 900th Parkway North hoodie.
Well, hoodie's different though.
Damn it, it is kind of a jacket, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's 22 degrees today in St. Louis.
Is it really?
It was chilly this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like 47.
See, but yeah. The White House just put out a tweet with the sun shining and
Okay.
palm trees.
Palm trees.
But you were thinking that because we're not that fashion oriented that we wouldn't notice. It's not that at all. It's I understand the rotation and the process of rotating your shirts and such.
Sure.
So I'll notice because it's very rare, I think, that I would have one shirt that I'll wear twice in a week because I don't normally do laundry till a Friday or Saturday.
Sure.
So you obviously have done laundry in the middle of the week to bring your rotation in a different manner. That's all. It's just your process is different.
Proceeds.
Is that right, Travis?
That's exactly what it is.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I don't think that's it at all.
Really?
I don't think that is it at all.
Okay. That's all I got.
Well, at least no one called you a fraud.
Hmm?
Well, the king of transitions is here, and I ain't talking about Jenner. Sorry, go
At
ahead.
least you weren't hanging out in the Manchester area pretending to be Omar Oliveras, former
is your
St.
lead?
Louis Cardinal pitcher.
This is your
Yeah,
lead?
this is my lead because this is hilarious.
This is
So
my
wait,
lead.
can we both focus and just put our guns down for Tigar and just blame it on whatever group of people
I
that
mean,
the
I'm
guy
not,
impersonating
I'm
him
not
was?
here to blame anybody. I'm just here to bask in the beauty of the story.
Okay, please.
For those who are not familiar, Omar Oliveras used to be a pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals back in the late 80s, early 90s. And
Early to mid 90s.
early to mid 90s, okay. And here's the thing. In St. Louis, former ball players have a tendency to still live in the area. They raise their family and they walk amongst
open car
us.
dealership. Actually, you know what? That's an old trope. There hasn't been.
I don't.
one.
Yeah, I don't read.
Did
not
Ozzie
even
Smith
read,
maybe have a car
maybe
dealership
very briefly back in the day, but
in
it wasn't
between his
anything.
Discovery Zone purchases?
Yeah, but I don't think anyone that I'm aware of right
Did
now
Ozzie
in
Smith
St.
own the
Louis.
Discovery Zone?
I think he was a partner.
It was called Ozzie's Discovery Zone for a little while, right?
Yeah, but I think he was a partner. I think he was kind of one of the let me
Yeah.
put the face
And
on
then
it.
he had 9 restaurants.
A restaurant was the thing.
Yeah.
Brett Hull had a restaurant too.
And Ozzie still has a. I think
Charlie
he-
Spoonhour had a restaurant.
Ozzie
Really?
yeah, Spoonhour had one. I remember that. Ozzie
He
had
should have
one.
had a cereal place.
What was that? Yeah, we got to look into that. We should do a 30 for 30
Or
on
a
how
soup
all these
bowl.
athletes and coaches ended up having these restaurants. But I digress. There is a gentleman apparently in St. Louis who decided to take it upon himself to impersonate this former St. Louis Cardinals pitcher, Omar Oliveras. He was discovered recently in an investigation. Police got into contact with the actual Omar Oliveras, who actually lives in Pennsylvania. He told police he did not sell any sort of memorabilia in the St. Louis area. Police said they arrested the man who was identifying himself as Omar Oliveras, a pitcher, of course, with the Cardinals through the 90s and 1995. Police said he was using this scam to sell counterfeit memorabilia and asking people to loan him money that he never paid back.
Well, in today's day and age, I mean, couldn't he say he identifies as Oliveras?
Well, the man himself hasn't been publicly identified. They say once the charges have been officially issued, his name will be
I
released.
hope he's black. That would be so funny. The people are so dumb. They're just like, oh, okay.
He has 77 and 86 in his career with a 4.67 ERA.
Okay.
He
So
retired from baseball in 2001 after a season with the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is funny to me because I think I know where Chris is getting with this point is that just on sight, you just decided to loan money to a guy who said he was a former St. Louis Cardinals pitcher. So you're telling me it's as simple as me going to West County Mall and saying I'm Dexter Fowler and people will give me money
Yep.
if I signed their T-shirts
Kind of
and
on
their
them,
flat
isn't
bill?
it?
Yeah, it is. So I'm trying to figure out like how you like if you go.
I had a friend say it was Fernando Vina, and it kind of worked.
All you got to do
kinda
is
look
be
like him.
under 5'7",
with a straw.
Yeah.
goatee.
okay shape. You
Yeah.
can be out of shape at this point even, with dark hair and do the circle goatee. And
That's what it was.
all you need.
And we were at MP O'Reilly's when he did this.
Who have you been mistaken for? Have you been? Like really? Like the
woman?
person? Oh,
Yeah. hey, sweet butt.
I watched it.
Oh, it's a man.
I watched it happen to Travis, and it was very real. And we've told it on the air before, and I don't know if he'll tell it again. Travis used to wear himself some big fake bling.
I wouldn't say it was fake. I say it wasn't authentic.
Really, Ja Rule?
Yeah, that's a Ja Rule move right there.
In college towns, or in the college town we were in, there would be groups of traveling students, maybe from Asia, definitely from Asia.
No. Yes, this did happen. This young Asian couple came into the restaurant I was a server at, and I couldn't believe it. And they
so
did
real. It's so real.
And it wasn't. They really weren't attempting to be offensive.
No.
They were legitimately certain of themselves that the person that was serving them was Chris Tucker.
How'd they say it?
Ooh, Chris Tucker. I know you, Chris Tucker. I'm like,
Chris Tucker.
I say I'm a huge Chris Tucker fan. That is actually a compliment.
So good.
But I don't want you leaving here today
I'm-
thinking that you met Chris Tucker.
I'm
'cause
falling
I
over.
feel like
Falling over. I was like,
did-
I told you.
and that was in that moment, like I was really like, people like, oh, you guys so immediately get outraged and very sensitive. I wasn't. My first concern was you were going to leave this restaurant and tell others that you saw Chris Tucker, and I don't want you to leave with that incorrect information. I am, for one, appreciate the compliment. Think Chris Tucker's a talent, good-looking guy. Thank you. However, I am not Chris Tucker. No. You're Chris Tucker. You're Chris Tucker. Oh my God.
Better moment between us. That or
Chris Tucker.
or me being, in shape for the first time in a while, and we go to the rec center, and I put on. I was like, I was hot dogging a little bit. I could dunk again, and it had been a minute, and a group of students was there, Travis. They thought they were watching Larry Bird incarnate, didn't they?
Man,
Oh,
it was, yeah.
What kind of students?
They
Asian
were.
students.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it happens. But it makes sense because Columbia has a lot of students who are entering the States for the first time ever.
Clapping in a rec center.
And so this
Did
is
you
all
tell
new
that
to
story
them.
just so you could tell that story?
Yeah, I did. It was a
Okay.
lead up.
Yeah, basically. So it cancels each other out.
All right.
But no, yeah, it happened. But I don't think I could never, like, even when people would mistaken us for players they thought were on the team or we were players on the team, like, that would be weird. Sure, you could have got away with it and got a free drink or two, but it felt weird because, one, it's a small town. Eventually, it was going to get around that you were impersonating or attempting to impersonate another person. And so I just can't imagine people in the St. Louis area being silly enough
Eventually.
to loan money to Omar Oliveira.
My dad roofed his house.
For real?
Yeah.
So you could see, now you could be lying to us and we just have to believe you. See, what eventually happens is like the security guards at bars that would say they were football players, the football players' girlfriends would eventually find out, and then the football player would have to go confront them, and it's awkward.
Yeah. but
This is pretty funny. I have to admit,
I can't remember where the house was, though.
why Omar Oliveras? Is that just something probably somebody used to tell him he used to look like him? So
Hey,
the person probably looks
do you
pretty.
know what his number was?
What?
00.
Oh, 00.
And that made it his initials.
Oh, nice. I get it now.
Yeah.
But my question is, who would it has to be? I hope the person. I want to see the mugshot because I'm like Chris. I either hope he's really really black,
I would have chosen
or
Real
he's really really
Cormier.
white.
Real
Real
Cormier.
Cormier is solid, but he's a lefty. Can you pull that off?
No.
Ah, see, that's it. People. Will
Well,
be
you
like,
say you tore your.
Yeah.
You
Like,
got, heading down to see Dr. Andrews.
But I've gotten better with my right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Real Cormier, I think, would have been my play.
All right, Chris, you got to pick a early to mid 90s St. Louis
another
Cardinals that you would not, probably been mistaken for.
Will Clark.
No, definitely Greg Jeffries.
Craig Jeffrey's kind of small.
Yeah, he is. He's kind of short.
Brad Penny.
Okay, but that
Are we
wasn't
doing
mid 90s.
mid-90s?
Later
We're
up.
talking mid 90s or later in the 2000s, but yeah, I definitely can see the Brad Penny thing. I
Similarity scores, according to Baseball Reference, for Omar Oliveras, just if you're looking for comps. Pat Rapp, Kevin Correa, Rodrigo Lopez,
Oh,
Bruce Chin. I remember Bruce Chin.
Bruce Chen started with the Braves.
Trevor Cahill. So those are just a few. If you're looking
Bad.
for
That's
some
not
comps.
bad company.
that's a horrible company.
No, Pat Rapp had a year.
Average ERAs had to be like 5.
Pat
But-
Rapp out of year.
Shut up, Chris. Shut up. Shut your face. Bernard Gilkey would be what I probably would get mistaken for. back
That's
in the
tough,
90s.
though. He's a
Bernard
St. Louisan, though.
He is
You
a St.
can't-
Louis, U City guy. I would never impersonate him. I'm saying
Yeah,
that
if
to
you
the
try
guy.
to impersonate that, you're
It's kind of hard to be a black person and impersonate a Cardinal these days. Like 2 on the team now. So,
Too many.
well, here you go.
That's why the 80s would be good.
80s is
Yeah.
always
So
good.
if you're the right age for that, that's when you could definitely pull that off.
Lonnie
as a
Smith?
African American.
Big Lee Smith. That'd be
That's a tough
my
one.
black comp.
Lee Smith is tough.
Mm-hmm.
You know Lee Smith. Lee Smith is a mountain of a human being. He's like he is the Black Mountain from Game of Thrones. They're a black version of that show. He would be the Mountain. He is an intimidating human being. Like I've never as a kid, there were only a handful of athletes that like really scared the shit out of me, like Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason,
They should have.
and I think it was definitely Lee Smith.
Why do all the
Absolutely
black
that.
ones scare you? No white ones scare you?
Because they'll see right through him. He can't.
Was
pull
there a
his
white?
fake
I
shit.
was Bill Lambier. I was like, man, that's a crazy white boy, and that was my first time.
7-footer
I was
would throw
like,
his elbow on
I was
your
like, man,
face.
he a white boy, and he got brothers backing him. Oh yeah, he lethal. You can't beat that. You got a white boy that's that big, and he already got the privilege, and then you get black
Oh,
and white
wow.
privilege on top of it,
Interesting.
with the protection of what Dennis Rodman and
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Rick Mahorn.
Rick Mahorn is where it was at.
Okay, you could have gone Bernard Gilkey, Ray Langford. What about Mark Whitten?
Hard hitting.
Nah, that's
I know what it is for you.
hard hitting Mark Whitten.
Do you think Brian Jordan or no?
See, he would tell us
No,
Brian Jordan, but he knows
yeah,
we'd call
I
him
know
out
better,
too
yeah,
quick.
Joe.
Brian Jordan was an NFL safety.
Yeah.
Gerald
also.
Perry.
There's Gerald Perry.
You know what?
That might be your
yeah.
play.
I
Gerald
think Terry
Perry.
Pendleton with the Braves is more your comp.
Who had the more annoying batting
Terry
stance,
Pendleton.
Gerald Perry or Mark Whitten? Talk
Ooh.
about two batting stances that were just absolutely
I would have tried
ridiculous.
to do
Gerald Perry played like until he was like 49.
He did.
Trip Cromer.
Trip Cromer. Wow.
Trip Cromer, talk about going down that memory lane.
Royce says Bob Tewksbury.
All right,
Tewksbury
man,
would be a
you
good
get
one.
Tukes. Where is Tukes, man? Dude, I don't see Tukes around the ballpark as much. Where does Tukes live? Where is he living these days?
You know what I could say? And this is again a lefty, but he fell off the face of the earth after the '96 NLCS. What if I just told everyone I'm Donovan Osborne and this is me after I came back from my cabin in the woods, and so I can just try and sell myself as Donovan Osborne now.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Bob Tewksbury, current mental skills coordinator for the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
I
There
did
you
not know
go.
that.
Oh yeah, he's
He-
written a book or two.
Career
That's
ERA
pretty
of
dope. I like it.
3.92. That's not bad.
I'm trying to find a good one for Chris. What's your exact height?
6'3.5" with no shoes on.
Like,
You said exact.
Like how he threw with no shoes on.
I'm not saying
You gotta throw
6'4".
that in there.
I'm not
Why do
saying
you have to
6'4".
say that?
You said exact height.
Yeah, so 6'3.5". Right? That's all you had to say. Not with no shoes on.
Fancy Foyer says he heard someone was going around impersonating Jamie Moyer. Now,
That's the thing. I think in this town, if you're going, you cannot maybe impersonate a hockey player.
Eric Pappas.
yeah,
Ooh,
because
what
they
if
got the they
Yeah,
got the mask.
yeah.
on
So
now.
you need to start. You gotta.
Now, that's happened to me.
Cardinals fans know they're Cardinals.
Now, that did happen to me. The young African American, very stoned gentleman
At the mall,
at the mall
we probably thought you were
made Travis's
you fat
year.
Tarasenko.
He thought I was a guard for the Rams or played hockey or something. Remember that?
Like
you
you
played for the Rams?
You Adam Timmerman.
I was like, I have a winter jacket on and I'm a little overweight.
Thank
I
you,
look
sir.
stouter than I am,
Jesus,
okay?
sir, leave me be.
Alan Watson.
Alan Watson.
Good.
Reliever?
Yeah, no, the pitcher. He was a starting
He's
pitcher.
6'3".
He was a starting pitcher.
Well, it doesn't have to just be height. I mean, see,
No, I'm trying
handsome as the day is long. And
He's bad.
But when
I'm
are we-
not
but
gonna-
my-
if you
my
look at
question
a
is-
picture of Alan Watson. Go to his baseball reference page.
But I'm
I
assuming
think we could pull this off.
I'm assuming the loan though.
yeah, I can pull that off.
I'm assuming the loan.
Chris is now Alan Watson.
Oh God, let's not impersonate.
You're
people.
Gerald Perry.
Oh God, I don't want to be. Okay.
Who do you want to be then?
I said I want to be Bernard Gilkey. Can I at least get Bernard Gilkey?
You can't be a St. Louisan.
Why?
Can we tell people that you're what happened to Aaron Miles? I don't know why I just like the
But
idea
that's
of
too
Aaron
late.
Miles.
It's too late though.
Too noticeable. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be. I'm between Trip Cromer and Donovan Osborne. The Donovan Osborne backstory is really appealing to me.
Okay, good.
All right. We'll find someone besides Gerald Perry for you. Okay.
I just think in this town it'd be very, very difficult.
Brown.
Well, how difficult do you think it'd be Bernard Gilkey when he's from here?
I don't know. I
Shout
just
out to
feel like-
Tom Brown. I saw him at the grocery store yesterday. We gave each other the quick nod. Drunks used to come up to me thinking I was Dwight Schrute. Tom Brown. That's great.
Interesting.
The one time it like truly happened to me was the time in the store where the kid thought he thought it was somebody to know who. The other time, I think I've talked about it, was at a concert, and I was standing on the side of the stage, and somebody on some psychedelics thought I was a guitar player for a band and wouldn't drop it. That was the funniest thing I think I've ever seen.
No,
It
there have
was
been
weird.
there have been times. Yeah, it's very weird. It's I don't know. People think I don't know why people would though. I can understand mistaken identity. I can understand, but like I think I just saw Bob Tewksbury in Target. Okay, whatever. But to then go, oh Bob Tewksbury, you need $5,000 loan. All right, here you go.
Yeah.
Take care, Tukes. Like, no.
go
wait,
cards.
go away. Like, wait, hold on. So I want to say yes. This person obviously impersonating Omar Oliveira should be punished. Also, the people who gave the money should not be allowed
Well,
restitution.
their children should be taken away.
They should not be allowed restitution. at
Oh, it
least.
depends. What if they do have children?
Well-
They need that money to feed them.
If you have children,
Don't
and
be
you just
loaning
hand
it
the
to
money
Omar
to
Oliveras.
Omar Oliveras,
Yeah.
a Farmer Cardinals pension, then you need to probably have your children taken away from you.
Maybe
So maybe that's a maybe
that's a good, kind of barometer. For
yeah.
this.
I just you can't. I don't. This is interesting. I would love to. This is where it would be fun to be in the FBI.
What about Milt Thompson
Okay, that works.
What's going on with Milt Thompson?
or Pedro Guerrero?
Pedro Guerrero, maybe I could get away with.
I can't.
I mean, he looked good.
I can't
He
hear.
a little bit heavier, but he looked good.
Maybe Pedro Guerrero is the move.
That works.
Except the problem whenever I hear his name is I think of a 911 call that O.J. Simpson made. Have you ever heard that one?
Did he like
And
drop
he's-
Pedro Guerrero's name?
Yeah, he dropped Pedro Guerrero's
up.
name. This is when Nicole was still alive.
Was he saying? Was he asserting that she was messing with Pedro Guerrero?
He said, "My wife Nicole is doing cocaine with Pedro Guerrero." And so now, whenever I've heard the audio of it, so now whenever I hear Pedro Guerrero's name, and he had some health issues recently, that all I can think of is when O.J. Simpson said, "My wife is doing cocaine with Pedro Guerrero."
I don't know what to do with that information.
I know, it's
That
so
is-
ridiculous.
That is the most ridiculous
And
statement
it's the
I've
only
ever
thing
heard.
I can think of when I hear his name.
I
It's
feel like we
amazing.
should rename our podcast. My wife Nicole is doing cocaine with Pedro Guerrero.
I'm gonna have to try and find
I
this.
think we just had an epiphany. We've been doing this all wrong. We should have been doing a true crime show
It sounds
on the true crime within the true crime. Everybody's talking about the OJ murder. No. This podcast focused solely on my wife Nicole is doing cocaine with Pedro Guerrero. That is what we're going to do our true crime story. Write that down, Gardner. That's going to be the spinoff of We Are Live. We're going to do a 10-part series. We're going to end up getting 200,000 views.
Okay, here's.
No, don't give too much of the story away. I want to savor this. I
I
want
want
to
to
go
make
in
sure
depth.
I get the quote right. Okay. She's been doing drugs for 2 days with Pedro Guerrero.
Okay, that's going to be the
There's
name.
more to it, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay, leave
for
it at
now.
that. We'll try to do because I want to make one of those true crime videos, and I think this may be
The
the
name of
opportunity for
our
us to
true
do
crime
it.
podcast is "She's been doing drugs for 2 days with Pedro Guerrero."
Yes, I want to get to the bottom of that. There is so much to dive into. Also,
How do people forget? That's why it's like people just breeze over that.
and it's the reason why people are embracing like this conservative tilt with the St. Louis Cardinals because the 80 Cardinals were just out here out of control. Or just 80
stole a lot of bases.
stole a lot of bases. So I wonder that I think maybe Dorothy Light, we've looked at her all wrong. She's like, I've experienced almost 2 decades of
Right, she's
cocaine
just-
and
she's just
used
tired.
Cardinal players.
She's just tired.
It's like the blue hair. I just know that's a symptom, and the next thing you know, there's going to be blow in the clubhouse,
Yeah.
and I don't want that to happen to the Cardinals again.
I'm
We've
not
seen
saying
this
I wasn't
story.
there for the party. I'm just, can we
yes.
tuck our shirts
Yes.
in and have a few years
Yes.
of good behavior?
Yes, I think Dorothy Light was all
The Cocaine Cardinals.
Yes.
1980.
we get it now. We get why people are like, hey man, cut that goatee. Take that color out your hair. We get it now because Dorothy
We know
Light,
where this ends.
Yes, she was
It
like-
ends with poor attendance in the early 90s because everyone's tired.
That's what it is. We found an
It ends
explanation.
with having to trade a great first baseman named Keith Hernandez.
But again, you could also say maybe drugs have something to do with it.
Of course.
So we can honestly say that the 80s,
I
the
went-
80s
I went to
cocaine
rehab.
infused time
Had a
is
little
what
bit
led
of
to a terrible run in the early 90s for the Cardinals.
Oh,
A little bit of a nose problem.
oh, I know who you can be.
Uh-oh, here we go. Who we got?
Who's you?
Ken Hill.
Who, me?
No, him.
Ken Hill black?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know Ken Hill.
Oh, I do remember Ken Hill.
Yes.
Oh, I do remember Ken
You
Hill.
can be Ken Hill.
Ken Hill was like the fourth guy in the rotation, and he was the brother. He was
Look up
cool.
Ken Hill.
I think his ERA probably had to hover around 4 or 5. But Ken Hill was a
Oh,
sharp-looking gentleman.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, right.
14-year career.
Yeah. I think he was with the Rangers at one point after he left the Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, he was with a couple teams.
Yeah, he had a nice career.
You could be Ken Hill.
Okay, I could be Ken Hill.
I'll be Trip Cromer.
Trip Cromer,
'Cause
Ken
Donovan
Hill,
Osborne
and
is-
Keith Hernandez.
No, he's Alan Watson. Or do I want to be
I want to
Donovan
find
Osborne?
a better one.
I like that, but the Watson one's a good one though. Is it, or is it too much of a name? Even
Who am I?
that's not.
Oh,
I'm not gonna.
oh,
I'm
come
not gonna even
on.
laugh at
Come
that.
You
on!
knew who it was?
Come on!
That's just a jerk move.
Get him.
I could have been a lawyer.
It's not even funny. It's just an asshole.
It is.
You're
right.
an asshole.
Yeah.
We don't allow that anymore. You
I-
get called out for being an asshole.
The 80s, we haven't. I think these documentaries, and everybody's like, oh, the over nostalgia with the Stranger Things and the documentaries. I don't think we've taken a deeper dive enough. That's a story within a story. Like, there are things that we're kind of burying the lead here. That's a.
How about an entire genre of shit music because producers and everybody were just coked out of their mind?
Yeah, that was. Honestly, if you think about the 80s, we've said it before in the show. If you think about the 80s, we shouldn't be here.
That's
this
why-
country shouldn't exist. We were asleep at the wheel for an entire decade. We were just hung over for 10 whole years.
Russians weren't even going to attack us. We were just really paranoid
Right.
from all the blow.
Right, it was. Wasn't the Cold War? We was high as shit. Russia was like, we're not even doing anything.
Right.
Hey man, I think they moving. I think they moving tanks, dog, down in Cuba. I think I saw some. Oh, I saw some Russian flags. Hey,
For vacation.
hey, what were you talking? Right. We were. I don't know. Something about the '80s. I don't know how we got away with it, but we paying the price now. We're paying the price. Technically, if you think about all the bigger decision makers in the country and around the world, it came from the '80s. Trump, '80s. Trump was born in the '80s, baby.
This was
The brand.
I really like what these yuppies are doing. I'm going to hold on to this.
Think
job.
about, like, even look at the Mitch McConnells of the world. You look at some of the more movers and shakers. They basically were born or bred in the '80s. So it kind of makes sense that we see what we're seeing now. Those guys, the
Well,
guys who were
I
just
think
they
part
were
of that
hung over
is-
for 10 years.
It's just that the ages as they progress and
True.
they attain power over time.
right.
Naturally, the progression would be that's part of it.
Freaking
Now I
drug
understand
infused.
what you're trying to say here.
Those CNN documentaries, man, are
I have
eye-freaking
several
opening.
friends that are surprised that they made it out of that decade.
Look, when you look at you do the math, Chris. You just look at some of the stories. You just go, my God! Can you imagine influencers
comedy-
in the '80s?
Ask some older folks around town about
comedy in the 80s.
about bars in the '80s, even in St. Louis. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Comedy exploded and then died in the 80s.
yeah, yeah.
You had
All within like a 6-year time frame.
we'll say 91. Comedy kind of hit the down, but like the comedy boom and Dice Clay doing Madison Square Garden.
Boom.
Like, come on.
We were. Oh God. Just looking back on it, I don't know how we made it that decade, man. That is. We need a deeper dive into that. I need some of the best historians on the planet to just sit down and have a heart-to-heart with America and go, we was this close, fam. We were this close to being
Don't-
Venezuela. We
don't
was this
slip up.
close.
Don't slip up. You could go right back to it.
There has to be an investment banker currently alive that worked with some of the bigger power players
need
in the
to use
80s.
this-
It's like, oh my God, those guys are still in charge.
I need to use
Does
this
anybody know what
against-
they're doing?
Need to use this against my parents a little more. Like, you are welcome for surprising you with my birth in the first part of the decade.
Oh, good point. Because
Kept-
you
kept
would be
you out of the clubs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a
Oh.
good point,
I
Chris.
should tell my parents.
Yeah,
that.
we should tell our. Hey, man, you lucky you
Yeah.
had us.
Yeah.
You lucky you being
You're lucky
irresponsible
you're-
at one time and y'all didn't really know what
Yeah.
condoms were and y'all just did y'all thing and then while I showed up, you're welcome.
You're
Thought
lucky.
my nickname was Accident. For I don't know how long.
You're lucky you're still
Is that what
not
happened?
proud of me.
That's another thing. That's another thing now we have to worry about when we go to therapy now. Did my parents just have me just so they could stop doing coke? Oh shit! This my whole life has been meaningless.
My dad stopped drinking and smoking for a while because of me.
Sounds like a bad time.
Apparently, when you hear irony,
Oh no.
apparently, like in kindergarten, this is kindergarten.
All right.
I don't know what we must have been talking about smoking or something, but I did some little project about smoking and what it does to your lungs, and I brought it home to my dad.
Mm.
And then my dad, I think it was like within a week, just quit cold turkey.
Mm.
He quit for
Wow.
like 25 years.
That's
He-
interesting.
He picked it up again occasionally here and there, and now he's not doing it again.
Similar
My-
thing happened with us in seatbelts. I came home with my bullshit propaganda they give you at school. Well, everybody should buckle up.
You saw where seatbelts in the car?
No, yeah, I was a little shit, I guess. I would just repeat stuff my teacher said. I remember this. Like, Dad, when you don't wear your seatbelt, it makes me not want to wear it. And he's like, buckled up from then on.
No,
I just get annoyed thinking about myself having the gall to tell a grown man
yeah, Larry.
providing
Dog.
for
Who
the
the hell are
family.
you telling Larry
Yeah.
Dog to put his seatbelt on?
Well,
My-
you are the one who said.
worn it
I'm
ever
pretty
since."
sure it's our Megidon.
You are that kid.
He did it out of-
You are that kid.
he did it out of-
Thanks, Gardner. Yes.
It was a bless your heart moment for him. He's like, all right, little buddy, we'll put our seatbelts on.
My dad turned his life over to Christ after
Oh,
he had
no.
me. So what does that say?
And that eventually led to Tom Joyner cruises.
Yeah, it did. Like I don't like, but that's the thing. So now I really am questioning why am I here? I was here as a buffer from my parents ODing.
Yes, me too.
We may have prevented our parents from OD,
What-
our births.
We're three little miracles
We
right
are.
in here.
We are three very fucking, we're idiots.
Look how we're trying to justify our existence.
And if-
We saved our parents' lives
We're trying to justify our existence on a daily
At
basis.
this point.
every day on
Yale,
this show.
Yeah.
Every day
And
on
it
this
is a
show.
struggle.
It is.
Yale with an addition. Comedy basically went on a hiatus in '92 when Kennison died and Carson retired. Carson was a launch pad, and Leno certainly was
Oh,
not.
very good point.
Great point.
Good point. That's a very good point. Well done, Yale. See, that's where we got to get Yale in here to really do a true breakdown of the '80s. I would love to break down '80s comedy. That maybe we should try to consider that because the '80s, man, everything that happened from politics to entertainment to just companies like
We should do a documentary
just
style
literally-
series and put it on a cable channel, and just call it the '80s.
imagine social media.
People will watch.
Tom Hanks
Imagine-
could direct.
Imagine being an influencer. Imagine having YouTube and Twitter in the
Influencer?
'80s.
You mean having an aerobics VHS?
Yeah, that too.
That was an influencer.
Glad.
Technology.
That's
See,
what my mom liked.
Susan Powder, the '90s. Yeah, she was '90s.
I don't remember.
She
When
had
was
shaved-
Tybo?
Tybo, that was '90s, 2000s.
yeah, '90s, late '90s.
Jalad
2000s.
was the one my mom liked because it was like mornings on ESPN.
What was the one with Susan Summers?
Suzanne,
Suzanne Summers.
bite your tongue.
My apologies.
She had the Bowflex, and that was an infomercial.
No, that wasn't Bowflex. I thought you had the Thigh Master.
Thigh Master. Yes.
Who had the Bowflex? Was Chuck Norris with one of
I
them?
think Chuck
Yeah.
Flores did the Bowflex at one point.
Huh.
That's where we were.
Tell you what.
Amazing. It's just amazing to me how, we know it, but drugs truly fueled our actions as an entire, like it moved industries. Like cocaine motivated industries to do things. Like they weren't reasonable. They weren't, like greed was ridiculous. Like people were just, like banks were loaning out phony loans. Like it was a free for all in the 80s.
What do you think it is now?
God, I think
Well, we will.
Or what was it, 12 years ago?
We'll break that down. Tell you what we'll do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to have Erica Rhodes come in. You know her from formerly did a ton of work on Prairie Home Companion on NPR. She was just on Bring the Funny on NBC. She's been on Veep, actually. She's been on all kinds of things. She's at Helium Comedy Club tonight. We're going to take a break. We'll get her settled. We've also got Chris Davis, his last appearance as he moves to
Aw.
Nashville from KSDK coming in. Stick with us. Hit share. Get people involved. It's going to be very fun. Erica Rhodes will join, and then we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Chris Denman, Travis Rowe, live at Midcoast Studio, joined by special guest Erica Rhodes. She's at Helium Comedy Club tonight, and she's going to be up after Painting Punchlines, which I believe you curated that idea. You're a big painter.
Yeah,
with
really into Bob Ross.
Good for you. I'm proud of you. I know you're just kind of getting up. You're on that LA schedule. We brought you some donuts if you want to eat on camera. I
wow.
think that'd probably be the best
best way to
thing
go
for
about it.
all of us.
And I'm not really camera ready right now.
I think you're fine. She was saying this. She was like dealing with her schedule and everything, and then I made the mistake of thinking, oh, we wouldn't have, we'd have been fine if you hadn't. She's pissed now that
Yeah,
she
I
even
was like,
came in.
you would have been fine.
You don't need me? You're what?
There's no urgency to this at all.
So I'd like to
Thank
apologize
you, dude. Please
on
do.
behalf of the show.
Yeah,
We
you would
need
not have been fine. There would be no show. What would you have done?
Well, we actually were going to close the studio, and then
Yeah.
you walked in. We'll remain
Thank
open.
you.
Yes.
Feed my ego a little bit.
You
Thank
feed your
God
own ego.
you're here.
I was looking at your credits. You've done so many cool things. It's an impressive list of acting,
Just to get back- get back
comedy.
into your good
You're
graces. Wow.
beautiful.
Just
You're
to get back-
hilarious.
There you
You're
go.
It's
amazing.
over.
Yeah.
Don't even try. Stop now. You already messed up.
You wear that hoodie
Been
with such
fine
grace.
without me. All my exes say the same thing.
That's not true. Again, you can see Erica tonight at Helium. Get your tickets. Go see her. Highly recommend. Very funny. Recently, we're on Bring the Funny on NBC. We know
Yes.
some people that did that. How was that experience? Good time?
It was fun, yeah.
I like that. I like that there's so many different stand-up things happening that because as the comedy pool grows, like at least there's more opportunities at the top, right?
Right.
We're not gonna have a serious talk, are we?
I'm not awake yet.
She's so
Give me 20
I'm
minutes.
just like, wait, I have credits? What are we talking
Who
about?
are you? What's happening? Is this the radio? What is this?
There's so many opportunities if you only wake up.
Favorite part about traveling? Go.
Oh, when I get home.
yeah.
Love
Yes.
that feeling of,
That makes
I love
sense.
appreciating my own bed again. When,
Yeah.
you know,
How much are you home? 2 days a
lately
week?
I was on the road for like over a month.
Yeah.
Then I just got home and I slept for like 5 days.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I was like, what am I do? What did I do?
Where are we?
I did a local show and they were like, I ran into a comic friend and they're like, what have you been up to? And I was just like, I don't know.
Is it kind of like
I
this?
don't
or
know
that?
what.
don't
Yeah,
know
it was
that.
kind of like this. Like you've done so much. No, I slept for 5 days straight. That's what I did.
Is that the best way to tolerate a place like LA? Is being able to travel to other places then come
Yes,
back?
leaving
Okay,
is the best
yes, the
part
best
of
part,
living
right.
in LA is leaving. If
And
you
the-
can't leave, then you go crazy.
That makes sense.
Like that way, you can at least just enjoy the sunshine a little bit.
Well, it is nice to go back to the sunshine. You know,
Right.
if you're like on the road and most places are cold like this,
Yeah.
you go back
like
home
this
and
how
you're like,
old it is,
yeah,
St. Louis.
it's so cold today.
It really is. Well, that's
You
why
grew
I
up in
refuse to
Boston?
Take this off.
Yeah, but
That's
I-
also true.
Come on.
I've been in LA 14 years.
Yeah, that's a little wow.
Yeah, I don't remember weather.
My
Have you changed when you go back to Boston? Do people go, "You've changed"? They don't.
No.
They don't. Nothing's really changed. They just.
No, they're
I feel
like, you
it's a-
haven't changed at all. That's more like LA stunts your growth, and you just stay
So-
exactly
good point.
the
Good point.
same.
right,
It's
you're like
you're just like how you were in high school.
a family.
Yeah, a failure.
Come on.
feel.
Huh. Okay. So where do we jump into? How? What's your favorite hoodie to wear when you're on the road?
This one.
That one.
Can't you tell?
Yes, I
I
can.
wore this on the plane yesterday, and then I wore it again. This is just what I grabbed.
Okay.
When I woke up 5 minutes before I had to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's our routine.
But yeah, but thank God I did, because what would you do without me?
Well, and let's be honest, you can add this to your list of credits that you're not even aware of.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
This is a big shot show, I hear.
Oh boy.
Big deal.
We have
See,
pictures
Will you
with
put
Tim
the
Meadows in the
camera? Will you
hallway.
put
That's
the
a good
camera
one.
on her, please?
It's a
no.
big show here, St. Louis. Big deal. See how it feels when someone strokes your ego a little?
It's the first time. I don't know how to react. My mother's just always kind of just stared at me when anything happens like this. So, all right, Erica, have you done a show like this before where they do the painting beforehand?
Just interrupt this. Speaking of mothers, when I went home recently, my mom said that she would come visit me in LA if I did something big.
Stop
and I
it,
said, "What?"
Mom.
I said, "Like what?" And she goes, "Like a play."
Oh, in L.A.
A play
In LA?
No one's doing plays in LA. I don't do plays.
You know, you go to the-
I haven't done a play for like 12 years. You know,
Right.
like 15 years.
Mom, do you want me to go down to the San Diego Community Theater?
Yeah,
like, what are we?
where am
Nobody's
I
doing
gonna
a play
do
in L.A.
And that's what she was like. If you just like big, like a play.
Like a play. What?
Like what?
So.
You know what that means now? You have to write a one-woman
Write a
show.
Well, yeah.
Oh no.
just specifically
Just so
for
my
your
mom
Oh
visits me.
no. A one-woman show.
It's
It's
just
called
"This Is for You, Mom."
This is for you, Mom.
Erica Rhodes and her favorite travel hoodie. Take you through a trip of comedy wonder. My
But no, I
God.
haven't done the paint by number thing.
Good.
Paint. What is it called?
Paint and punchlines.
Paint and punchlines. I
Yeah.
haven't done that before. What is it?
I think what they do is they invite some folks that maybe haven't always been to comedy shows. They're into painting. They do like the paint by numbers kind of
That's
thing.
the kind of comedy crowd you
Paint.
want.
Well,
Yeah, you want
You want the painters.
you want
know
the
how much-
almost painters,
almost
the
are-
amateur painters.
do you
are
know how much
great
Chardonnay?
crowds.
There's a big Chardonnay night for Helium, I would think.
Yeah, that sounds like I don't. It sounds like an interesting project.
I think that you're going to do a
Creative.
wonderful job.
Wait, I'm not doing that one.
No, but you're F. They
Oh.
paint and then they come in and see you.
Oh, they do?
I believe
Oh,
so.
so they're all relaxed like after
Yeah.
painting. They're all focused.
Look
Like-
at that.
Like
Yeah.
a large, it'll be a bachelorette party
have on
style
their-
type of room.
They have on their dad's old button-down shirts with paint all over it. Is
Mm.
that? Do you think that's how they do? No.
I'm trying to understand, like, but you've been performing since 10, 11, 12 years old?
Yeah.
So your parents aren't at the point where they think almost everything you've done is pretty big? I feel like they would, since you started so
I guess
young,
that's
they
why.
would be.
I guess why now we're going back to plays. Now play is like exotic. Or
They
something.
figured
your
junior
mom, high, but that was big.
Yeah.
You come home, there's clippings that say they're looking for someone to be the lead in Stone Soup.
My mom always wanted me to do musical theater. Like I think that's like what
not-
she like.
It's not
that's
too
what
late.
it
Not too late,
is.
but that's like what she really, that's what she really wanted me to do.
Especially
Be a
in Los
singer.
Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in LA, where there is no theater that anyone wants to see.
Not really.
No.
Okay, so whenever people do come out, I mean, you mentioned the 10 or 11 years old thing.
Yeah.
You were doing stuff with NPR
Yeah.
for so long and so many different types of crowds. What are the
Yeah.
difference between, do people still come out from the NPR stuff? I mean, I would assume so, yeah.
Sometimes, especially in the Midwest,
Mhm.
like
Okay.
people in the Midwest know Prairie Home Companion, so like those crowds. But they're definitely usually an older crowd. But then
Yeah.
there's some people in our generation that are like crazy about it, and
Yeah.
I'll be shocked. I'll be like, I was on Prairie Home Companion, and I either expect them to just zone out like they have no idea what it is, or they're like, really? Like those are the two reactions. It's either like totally blank, like, huh?
Oh, really?
What's that? Garrison who? Or they're like really impressed.
Yeah.
You
We saw that a little bit. Our new pal Alonzo Bowden does a lot of stuff with
Oh, with the
NPR
new-
and Wait,
new
Don't
one?
Tell Me. Yeah. And
I love Alonzo.
he's a great guy.
He's
yeah.
so nice.
Yeah, he
Super
is.
talented.
Really is.
Yeah.
Very
And usually
generous guy.
when comics say that about another comic, there's like they're not good at
He
comedy, but
actually
they're
is-
friendly. He's so funny.
Ironically, part of the reason I'm here today, he doesn't know. Well, he might know this, but when I did Montreal New
Yeah.
Faces, I was having brunch downstairs and ran into him, and he pulled over all the Helium people and was like, "You gotta talk
Oh,
to her."
wow,
And
that's awesome.
They saw my audition and liked it, but he like talked to me up and like kind of
He's
helped
wonderful.
Oh, that's
with
awesome.
That. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you guys were. There's no way you're both like super big motorcycle enthusiasts. Like she met at a convention where they're going through motorcycle engines or something. No, Montreal. That makes a lot of sense.
Montreal, but
Yeah.
he's been really supportive of me and like.
He's great.
Yeah, he's always so funny.
Yeah.
He's really funny.
Let's talk more about Alonzo
Let's
Bowden.
just keep talking about Alonzo. I can talk up other people more than myself.
Okay. Who else do you like to talk up?
Who do? Okay. Oh, now if
Who's
I'm
helped
on the
you?
spot, I don't know.
What comics have
Oh,
kicked down
Tom.
doors
I
for you?
opened for Tom Papa a
Great,
bunch.
very
Oh,
funny.
nice.
Love Tom Papa.
Yes.
Did he make you bread?
He didn't, but he.
Kind of rude, Tom.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the camera? Yeah, Tom. Get on that, Tom. Tom and I were joking that we needed to be bigger divas. Like we were like hearing about what other comics demanded, and we were in Cleveland. And like, and he and I were
That's
both
a good
like,
place to
we were
start.
just like, we're not asking for anything. Like,
Right.
I was like, can we have some water, please? And we're both like, we need to up our diva game. Like, we gotta demand more.
Where do you get to that point
Have
though
a
when
friend,
you
man.
you feel confident enough to do that?
I don't know if Tom Papa's not. I don't know. If
You got a
ever-
while. You
I
got a
think
while.
You just decide I'm gonna be a diva.
Okay.
We have a
You
we have a
know?
friend that went and He went to like a Sam's and bought a case of water because they started trying to charge him for water. And this is a guy who's headlined for 20 plus years.
They started charging
He
for
was
water.
He was at a club because he wanted bottled water. He didn't want. So I was like, oh man,
I
you
always
gotta.
want bottled water too. Oh, well, not.
As she grabs.
Yeah,
I was
I
like, man,
grabbed-
she's good. That's funny.
I didn't mean
She
to
didn't
do
even
That was
mean-
well done. I was like,
I was like, damn, maybe you
I
should.
think her timing's back.
Yeah.
I think she's woke.
Travis, her mom's right. She should be acting. That was good. It was so subtle.
Yeah, it was really subtle how I grabbed that water.
I would prefer
I would
bottles.
It's funny because talking about water made me thirsty, but then as I said I want a bottle, I grabbed the
Water.
glass, but by accident. But then it seemed like a subtle
It did.
dig, but I didn't mean it like that.
You know what I'm excited about? Just when she's gonna get warmed up and like kind of comfortable with us, she's gonna be like, "All right, well that's our time."
Yeah.
Like, all right, guys.
Are you saying I'm not comfortable or warmed up?
I think you're ready
listen,
to-
Erica, this has been a tough one, and
This
it's
has
we're
not
just trying
been
to pull
linear. Don't you like a non? It's a non-linear interview. Those are the best interviews when
Yes.
it's like you don't know what's gonna happen.
Oh,
like they
hell
don't care
yes.
about my answers. Like, what did you do to?
It is too, where
They
it's
don't
like,
care.
what's your process in comedy?
Yeah, no, they don't care.
Have you done the morning show interviews? Because we've had
Oh.
comedians
She
do this
has.
where they do the morning show interviews, but I don't know if you've done one like, say, in a city like St. Louis, where they will bring on the comedian after they tell
Ooh,
their
ooh,
audience
ooh.
about
Some
3
horrible
murders
thing.
that took
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was on there.
You-
we were,
who
we
was
were,
there?
we were announcing a giant. We were going to do this giant comedy stage at this huge rock festival here, and it's me and a very funny comic from here, and child drowns 3 miles from the station. Chuck it to the comedy guys, and
What
this,
did
we're,
you say?
we're just like, what do you? Hi, good to see you.
hope we don't hope we
best of
drown
the-
in laughs.
Best
so
of the
yeah.
family, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we
Best
just
of-
transitioned out.
sorry.
Right. Yeah. To up your
Drown in
spirits.
laugh. Oh,
yeah.
no.
Oh, absolutely terrible. Have you done that? Sorry to step on that. Yeah.
Have you had
Have
a
you had
situation
that
where you had to go
situation
into
No,
that?
happen?
That's-
actually, to be honest, I don't think I have.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I've had good luck. So
Do you want
far.
to try?
Yeah.
Breaking. We have
Okay.
a 17-car pileup, 30 fatalities. You're at Helium tonight. Good morning.
Yeah, it seems like the world is falling apart.
Boom.
But if you,
There
if you want to have a laugh, in the meantime,
in the mean.
in the meantime, well, it's falling apart. Right before the apocalypse hits,
In the
come
mean.
see Erica Rose. You guys are too easy a crowd. I feel like I can say anything. I'm killing it here.
We're getting
Killing.
you ready for this evening, right?
I know. Well, actually, last night was really fun. The
Was
crowds,
it?
Yeah, the
Good.
crowds are really good here.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it had to do with your talent.
No,
Let's
they
give
were
you some
good
credit.
before I got out there. I was like, they're good.
Mhm.
You know, we judge them. They don't know how much we judge,
We judge them.
They think they're judging. No, we're like, are they good? How are they?
Right.
That's fair.
Do you judge fashion choices of the crowd?
No,
Like
I'm
you
not
should
that
see the
judgy.
guy at table 32 and that button down.
No.
Mm-mm.
Do you?
No.
Actually,
don't judge
probably
people
do.
that come
I
here in
probably do.
hoodies.
I probably do judge people without realizing it, but I'm not like, oh, what are they wearing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I judge them more by like, do they like me?
Specific.
Like, are they,
And if
Do
they
they
don't,
like me?
they're brain
do
dead.
they like what I'm wearing?
I need you to scream at so you have Veep as a credit on
Yeah.
yours. I need you to scream at somebody the next time you feel not validated. I was on Veep, and I want a
do
full-on
you
meltdown.
know who I am?
Yes.
I was
I had
No!
I had a line on Veep once.
on people.
Travis, do you want to ask her how she got onto Veep?
No, I would imagine by her talent. I don't
Just
know.
had to sleep with a few
If
people.
you- that's
Up top. Hell yeah.
I mean, how else do you think we make it in this world?
How do you think I got this
I
podcasting
mean,
gig?
come on.
we were having a conversation earlier in the hour about how we believe we've saved our parents' lives from the 80s.
Thank
Because
you.
we're 80s babies, and we think our parents were on their way to basically ODing.
We
and
cut
then
'em
they
out of
had
the
us.
clubs.
Do you sometimes feel like that, being an 80s baby yourself? Do you sometimes wonder, by my parents having me, I technically saved them from
Might have helped
life
if you
of
were here
hell?
for the half-an-hour conversation that led up to that.
I want to know. Because we've had the discussion that the '80s we should not have made it as a country out of the '80s. Like we were.
Think of the music
were
and everything that was
coked
happening.
up.
And just, yeah,
I
just
think
so
the
much
80s
cocaine.
were a cool time, though.
That's what I'm saying, though. But at the
Yeah.
same time, we should probably be dead. Some of the things that our parents did in
Yeah.
the '80s were pretty irresponsible to say the least.
Really? See, I had different parents. I had
Okay.
my mom's a classical musician. We didn't have TV until I was like 8.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, I didn't even have TV. Yeah, and
Oh,
we didn't have a computer until I
wow.
was like
So
in
you-
high school.
You missed like the first 4 seasons of The Simpsons as a child.
Yeah, I only watched Full House.
Oh,
no.
wow.
That
Yeah.
explains a few things.
Yeah, I know. I loved Full House. Don't judge me.
Have you got to work with Dave Coulier or Bob Saget? You probably
Oh,
have.
Dave actually hosted my first, like I did Gotham.
Dave.
Gotham Live. Yeah,
Dave.
Dave and I are like this.
Dave, they're both.
Yeah, he
he's
hosted my
funny.
Gotham.
He did.
He has no idea who I am.
Was
But
that surreal? That had to be surreal.
it wasn't really.
You're like, yeah.
I'm over everything.
Okay, good.
She's been performing since she was 10. Like,
Right.
whatever.
But if
Yeah.
I did a play with him,
Of course.
Mom would notice.
yeah, my music, yeah, my
I really want you to
finally-
write this one-woman play now that your mother has forced you to do.
Excuse me. We
This
have
is
a
for you, Mom.
we have a writer in the room.
Yeah.
Could you two team up for this?
Yeah.
You can make this happen.
She
I'm
just
sure.
said no.
Yeah.
Did you say no?
I didn't say no.
Oh, I was
said,
hoping you
I
said
said
no.
yeah. I said yeah.
All right, Travis. What direction would you take it?
Yeah. What would the opening?
Mm-hmm.
What's the opening scene?
Have you seen like the Open to Hustlers with Jennifer Lopez?
No.
Like
No.
just this big dance.
I've only
number.
seen enough.
Wow, I was
I've only
picturing
seen
just me sitting in my car alone,
Yeah.
staring out
Thank
the
you.
window.
the only Jennifer Lopez.
A Boston winner just stayed up the.
Yeah, I was
Right.
picturing. Why do I picture every woman's show starting out like it was just me alone? I don't know why fake driving is
Yeah.
like the quintessential one-woman show.
Yes. In a chair too, and you over exaggerate when you sit down and
yeah,
when you're
yeah,
doing
you're
your things.
just like,
yeah.
and then you like stare out the window, and then you do this. And
Well,
I
here,
don't know
kick
why
it off.
that's-
We got the camera. Kick it off. Here we go.
Oh, there she is.
And curtains.
And this is
Oh.
when I realized.
Oh, you're gonna narrate.
This is when I realized, fuck that shit.
Oh.
I'm gonna be a comic.
Okay.
And then that's where the story begins.
Oh,
I
wow.
like that.
That's
I like
great.
that. Fuck this shit.
Fuck
we don't
that.
even know what we're talking about.
You're probably wondering how I got here.
Oh, yeah, you're probably wondering how I got here.
Mm-hmm.
We're all wondering.
I got-
I think we've got a hit.
Yeah.
I think we've got. Aren't you glad you got out of your hotel bed?
Yes.
Now that's an Oscar-worthy response.
What
that was
is
good.
this?
That's one of
Do
our.
you like coffee?
I love coffee.
I got you that.
Really?
I'm serious. Yeah, that's our sponsors, Snappy Bigman. It's
Is
locally
it-
made.
Do
Yeah.
I have to grind it?
Yeah.
Will they do it at the hotel? Will they grind it for
Yeah,
me?
just tell them
'Cause then I
that you
can
were a
make it at
Prairie
the
Home
hotel.
companion. They'll
Here.
be
Do
like, "Oh."
you know who I am? I was.
Veep. Veep. You could. You could.
In St. Louis, you just show people your IMDb page, and that's fine. They'll give you
Really?
whatever. Oh yeah, we're so simple here.
You
We're
know
very
what?
happy
Are
to-
you? Will you drink that at the hotel?
Yeah.
I'll grind it here for you.
You will?
Not even kidding you. You were on Veep. I owe you that much.
Wow.
anywhere else, you're
Now I'm
welcome.
feeling like the royal treatment. That makes up for no bottled water.
Thank God.
Erica Rhodes, I think this has been a special time. I wish we
Yeah.
could talk for 3 hours, but
Me
you have to
too.
go
This has
back
been
to bed
fun.
and do
Oh, this
whatever
is-
you do.
That flew by.
Yeah.
It did. We were
Yeah.
here
Wasn't
for
bad. See,
Yeah.
I think we got through all my credits.
Mhm.
all of them, every single
What's the
one.
most traumatic thing that's ever happened to you on stage?
Oh Jesus.
Oh, that's a good question. Traumatic?
On stage,
Ooh.
other than Dave Coulier flubbing your name when he brought you up.
What's the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to me on stage?
I mean,
Well,
I don't-
okay, so I did the Howie Mandel Gala,
Okay.
and it
and I accidentally shook his hand.
Oh,
he
yeah,
had a
that
mental
would be
breakdown.
traumatic.
Yeah.
So, and that's like in front of 3,000 people, and I was really nervous. And right before I went through a breakup with my boyfriend, and then he was backstage because he's a comic, and he, for some reason, had to be backstage right before I was doing jokes about him that I wasn't sure whether he had
Shut
heard yet.
up. Shut
And I
up.
was
Are
just
we?
like,
Is
This
this?
is-
Can I Google this? Who was your ex?
I'm not gonna tell you.
I'll find out.
Just like a guy.
Yeah, but it was just one of those feelings. It was one of those feelings of like, what are you doing here? Like,
Right.
and also he had made me nervous because he had said something a little bit like when I told him I was doing the gala. I think he was a little jealous because he does the galas, and he's like, "Are you sure you're ready for that?"
Oh no!
And so then,
What?
yeah, he said that. So
Are you
I
really
was,
gonna make me Google?
No, you're not gonna find out. It's not. We didn't ever.
Okay.
We were never
I'll
public.
send a text.
I'll tell you after the.
Okay. while I'm
I'll
grinding your
tell you.
beans.
Yeah, but and so then he was just backstage, like right before I went out, and he had already made me really nervous. Like, am I ready for this?
Stop.
And so like I just like it was like and I was like, why is he here? Why is he just
Yeah.
happen to be backstage? Well, and I really felt like it was kind of to mess with me.
Right.
But
Like,
then
I
you
think he
got
was
out there and killed,
competitive.
didn't you?
I did okay, and then I came back and he was gone.
Okay. Well, that's
But-
maybe showing some motivation.
Yeah, it was interesting. But I
Yeah.
did jokes about him, right? Like that I wasn't sure if he had heard, and they got like applause breaks, and I wasn't sure if he like waited. And I didn't know how long he.
Is it obvious
watched.
that it's about him? Only to him?
Yes.
Only to him or to others?
Oh, only to him.
That's-
yeah. He has
I think
jokes
that's
about
fair
me
game.
too. He has jokes about me.
But it was done out of the joke. It wasn't done out of I'm gonna get him back. It was like, oh, this is shit is funny. I'm gonna
Yeah,
use
it was just
Well, and she
funny.
didn't
Yeah.
tweet it and tag him, too.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, no, he never. I don't think he ever got mad about the jokes.
That's super fair game.
But you think it mattered? But it has to be funny though, right? If you're
Yeah,
gonna
it
do
was funny.
Okay,
They
see,
were
that's
funny.
what,
on
that's
you
what
if
the
it's
guy
not
I'd be
funny.
concerned about. I was like, oh, that's a good
No, they were
joke on
funny
me.
jokes.
Okay, so
I
that's all that
think
matters. Then.
Those are jokes that I like do better than any of my other jokes. He's probably like honestly, knowing him, he probably takes credit. He's probably like, I mean, I basically wrote that joke. No, you didn't write that. You said a really weird thing, and I put it in a joke.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I
Erica
wrote-
Rhodes, you can write as many jokes about us as you want, and you can
Thank
see her.
you.
Maybe she'll come up with a
Aw.
few tonight at Helium Comedy Club, and you can get
Yes,
tickets online.
come.
Check them out.
Okay.
What a true delight it's been.
Likewise.
so much.
Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having
much
me,
for
you
coming
guys.
in.
You guys are really
Appreciate it.
fun.
Thank you.
I agree. Erica
Yeah.
Rhodes, she's at Helium tonight. We've got her some Snappy Bigman coffee. We're going to take a break. Chris Davis from KSDK is moving to Nashville. He's been doing news here in
Thank
St.
God.
Louis.
Thank you.
Erica's
Get
done
him
with it.
out.
He's
So fucking happy.
We got him some World's Fair donuts, and I'll be right back. I got to go grind some coffee. Welcome back to the show. Huge thanks to Erica Rhodes. You can see her at Helium Comedy Club tonight. Guys, somber moment as we say
Oh, boy, here
goodbye
we go.
to a brother of the show, the great Chris Davis, soon to be formerly of KSDK. He's heading home to mama, everybody.
That's right.
That's right. Chris,
You know?
welcome back, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now
And
get out of here. I'm going to do the thing. Go on, get out of here. Who needs you?
go get
Whatever they...
like
whatever-
one of those movies where you have to like swing at the dog.
Yeah,
you know, to
right.
get- yeah.
It doesn't understand.
It's like
That's
Harry,
literally what Frank's gonna do to me later today. So yeah.
Harry and the Hendersons.
Yes.
Go!
Hiding the tears.
I don't want you here anymore. Oh, congratulations!
man.
We knew it when we first had an opportunity to see you on air. We were talking about this a little bit off the air, but it's one of those things like, man, he's good. Shit, he's gonna be gone here soon, isn't he? He's gonna be gone because he's that good. But we're so happy that you get to go home.
Well,
That's
it's okay.
is
He got a
that?
job in New York or L.A., right? Like one of the huge
He's
markets.
got that's big time, man.
But
Nash Vegas is big.
yeah,
Son of a-
but I'm from
we
there.
lost out,
Yeah.
man.
I'm from there, and so when I announced the news, it was I said that, and I mean it genuinely. Like I really do love St. Louis, and it's been such a fun 2 years that I've been
That's
here
awesome.
with the Blues run
Yeah.
and plenty of news to keep me busy. But you know the draw of being able to be 25-30 minutes away from home after spending several years away in different
awesome.
places is just too good of an opportunity.
What was
It's
mom?
huge,
Give me as best you can mom's reaction. Because I know sometimes with big news, when it comes to parents, you just want to make sure everything's official, the I's have
Yeah.
been dotted, things have been crossed before you tell them. So when you officially told the parents, hey, son's coming home to be on TV, what was her response?
She was really excited, but they had some continual updates because
Okay.
they were kept in the loop. The real surprise is I got to on Thanksgiving Day, or actually the day after Thanksgiving because I worked Thanksgiving. I got to tell two of my grandmothers that
Oh, that
were
is
and they literally
awesome.
like they cried, they got
That is
emotional.
awesome,
so that was
Chris.
really cool.
That's
so
really cool.
like my 87-year-old grandmother has learned how to she didn't have internet until like 2 years ago. She
Right.
just didn't have any reason to, but she actually
love that.
got it to be able to stream newscasts in different markets I've been in. So
That's
she's,
fantastic.
I think she's told every, like bridge club in the greater Middle Tennessee area that, that she can watch, that everybody can watch the Channel 5 down in Nashville. But no, they were both really excited about that. So that made it all worth it there
Awesome.
for sure.
So Chris is leaving. We've gotten you a St. Louis staple. World's Fair Donuts has recently opened up back
That was just
again.
yesterday,
So,
or-
yeah,
yeah.
they did. It was shut down for a little while, so we grabbed it. So stuff your
nice.
face.
Yeah.
You're not.
Not
They don't
bad
have
one.
donuts down in Tennessee.
That's right.
Not like this, Chris.
It hasn't made it there yet.
No,
So this is-
we're hoping. Yeah, that's the one thing St. Louis does better than Nashville these days. Now,
Oh, they'll get it.
right, Brooklyn Donuts opening in Nashville.
I'm sure there's a crane already down there building one. Jeez.
Yeah, that's right.
That's great.
Now, what happens if you move down? So technically, your last day at KSDK is today or
It's
tomorrow?
today. It's
Today.
today, yeah.
So that means, will your employment? We'll just for fun, we'll say your employment officially starts tomorrow at the new station. What's the station in Tennessee?
It is. It's also a Channel 5, so
Okay,
you know,
okay, well,
so I can keep
good,
that. Yeah,
good.
it's. So it's they call it News Channel 5, but the call letters are WTVF. It's the CBS affiliate in Nashville.
Okay, gotcha there. So if he does this, and then the Titans go on this miracle run.
Oh my word!
Do you add a jewel to your, your little what is it? Thanos.
Your gauntlet.
The gauntlet. Do you, with the Blues
Yes.
because that was strictly because of you.
Of course.
And then
yeah.
do you take credit for the Titans?
So I have been a Titans fan as long as they've
Saw
been
photos.
in Tennessee.
I
Yes.
saw
Yeah,
photos.
Yes, so this would mean quite a bit. So I actually start officially. I have 2 weeks off in between, so I'll be actually starting the Monday after Super Bowl Sunday. So my rationale is if there's a parade to cover, then then
That
I
would
could
be
there.
hilarious.
Yeah,
That's the first major aside. Another championship parade. That is outstanding.
and I'll make sure I see if I can call Brett Hull to see if he can come down there too, because it seems like something.
Gardner.
We went Titans. Why is Brett Hall in that?
No,
What is happening
I
right
get
now?
the feeling Brett would be one of those rockers that forgets what city he's
Yes.
in when
Yes.
they're touring.
I love that.
What
No.
are you yelling about the Jets for? We're not even in the playoffs.
How about the Memphis Titans?
Yeah. What?
Brett, no, put the seltzer down.
Now, will we see a photo like the famous Blues photo if Nashville wins a Super
You
Bowl?
Oh.
could. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
because there's never been a championship in the city of Nashville for professional sports. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be the equivalent of, I don't know, it'd be hard to match, people waiting on that anticipation of the Blues, but there have
Right.
been obviously Cardinal,
Right.
parades before. So this would be one of those first of
Yeah.
a kind
Now,
type
well,
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 let's
if
not
they
forget
once-
these are Southerners and it's football. It's like this would
Right,
be a
right,
shit
right,
show in
right.
a good way.
Yeah,
Well-
the world definitely centers around football down there.
What if they
maybe more
won
so.
non-professional, I guess? Vanderbilt's won some baseball stuff.
Yeah,
I guess.
Vanderbilt did win a national championship in baseball.
Nashville
but
probably co-opted Tennessee winning the football national title, right?
That
Are you
was,
talking
that
about
was a big
professional?
deal. That was a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's anchored more over in Knoxville, so
Yeah.
it's not like
Oh.
you have just like the all the excitement there. But
Right.
yeah,
I
that's
believe
gonna
it's
be part of
pronounced
it.
Knoxville.
Sorry, thank you.
That's how I like to
Appreciate
say it.
that.
Knoxville.
How would you compare this to, say, the Preds run a couple years ago in the Stanley Cup to the energy right now in the city in regards to Titans? Because the Titans were no one's favorites going into the playoffs,
No.
and they have pulled off two incredibly impressive. People are right now at the point of, if this team makes the Super Bowl, going down as one of the greatest runs of any team in NFL history in the playoffs.
Once again, and maybe some people in the newsroom have eye-rolled me at this point, but it reminds me of the Blues, like
Yes.
2-4.
Yes.
Under Marcus Mariota, they finally made the change to Tannehill, and they have been just dominant since then. And it's funny, every single time, you have the they can't beat the Patriots.
Right.
Beat the Patriots. Oh, well, they can't beat Baltimore. Beat Baltimore, and it's like going into Kansas City,
Right.
and they have a really successful record against Andy Reid. So I know this is more Chiefs Kingdom now. I know
Sure.
not quite.
Not
It's
as much.
it's
Get
always
outta
that kind of
here.
awkward.
Right. There's a
but
separation.
I'm very tempted to try to go to that game on Sunday.
I think you
Go
should.
for it,
Yeah.
man.
Ah.
It should be. And look, I've been to Arrowhead, and I've recommended to anyone, even if you're not a Chiefs fan, you may not even be a huge football fan, but that is a fun, entertaining
They do it big there,
experience. They
for
do
sure.
it big, and like to see the parking lot of. It's a sea of barbecue.
Yeah.
Literally. It's just a sea of people barbecuing. Every parking spot in Kansas City, someone's bar. So I think that atmosphere alone, you should definitely try to give it a go.
Go ahead, Gordon.
I wanted to ask this just because I brought it up when we had Brooke Grimsley on last week, who is from the same area as Chris, a classmate of Chris in college. But I grew up a Bills fan.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really have a football team here. So where were you? Do you remember where you were 20 years ago when Frank Wycheck illegally threw a forward pass to Kevin Geisen
There
that
we
wasn't
go.
It's gonna
flagged?
happen. You knew it was
Thank
gonna
you.
happen.
I do remember watching the game and that iconic call from Mike Keith and Titans radio.
There are no flags on the play.
There are no flags on
a
the
great
field.
call.
The Titans have pulled America.
Still haunts me. Yeah, I know what it is.
Just in case,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been funny here, with that this is now obviously the 20th anniversary this year of that run, and so I've been hyping up the Music City Miracle, but then you have the classic St. Louis Rams fans that have to show the tackle, which I've always said to people, I've never even really heard it called the tackle because my perception has always been the framing of from the Tennessee side
of
of
course.
1 yard short, or
Yeah.
just
Perspective is everything. With
It is. So that was, I distinctly remember the 1 yard short moment. Remember seeing my dad just aghast of that it came that close to making all the difference for the game.
Are you looking
But-
forward to fishing and hunting trips being a little easier to get to now?
Yeah, that will be, driving 8 hours round trip just
Yeah.
to get to the main base of operations to wherever we're going is, I think that'll be a nice thing too. Dad and I will be able to do stuff like that a lot
Nice.
more.
How do they treat the news personalities in Nashville? I know here in St. Louis, we have obviously people get pretty close, if you will, at least in their eyes, to their personalities that they see on TV. Is Nashville similar to when people see you on the news and you go to the grocery store, like, hey, it's you from the TV? Will they do the same thing?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
I think, I haven't obviously been able to experience
Right.
that yet. I worked right out of college behind the scenes there, and it seems like it's the same way. It's like,
Okay.
you see these people every day. They tell you good, bad, and ugly, and you get to kind of connect to them. And I think it's going to mean a lot more to me, too, when I can go back to my hometown and report. And, and the same thing that I really have admired so much about St. Louis is there is such an ownership and pride of St. Louis. And I have genuinely bought into that, obviously, but it'll mean so much more actually being from there and,
Right.
and being able to plug into all that kind of stuff.
I like this idea that when you go back there, people are going to be like, what was it like doing the news with like a Band-Aid under your eye and a Cardinals hat on all the time? Like, I like that. Whereas I expect to see you like reporting live from Nashville in like a rhinestone suit and a cowboy hat. Like, I'm like, they're going to make you go real Nashville on that.
We
Like,
got some catching up to do, Chris Davis. You got a lot of catching up to do.
We're talking like on a variety show, 1977 country singer.
Sure.
Like, that's what I want you dressed as for me.
I'm gonna have to go shopping. I don't have
Okay.
that in the closet.
Well,
but,
I would think the station would provide all their anchors and reporters with that. So, okay.
Are you gonna be general assignment reporters again?
I'll
while
be
you're there?
general assignment. I actually like that because it just
Yeah.
means it's something different every day.
Absolutely.
You know, you may do something serious one day, you may do something really kind of heartwarming the next. So
Right.
it gives you that blend. I think sometimes if you dig into one beat too much, then you can just kind of either get exhausted by it, burnt out by it, or
Right.
or it becomes like, I don't know. You sometimes I have to remind myself on some of the, like when sometimes you can get talking about state politics and forget that most people sitting there watching, unless it directly impacts them, unless they're really interested in it, they don't always follow the blow by blow. So
Right.
it's good to definitely diversify some, because otherwise you kind of get into that.
Have you
know?
prepared yourself for covering stories where just based on your time in Nashville, growing up in the area, could maybe cross? Like you maybe end up covering a story like, oh, I went to school with that guy, or I know that person.
Yeah. And you see some journalists here in St. Louis that
Yeah.
cross that bridge sometimes too. I think the good thing, and sometimes they're unexpected, obviously, but if you know a little bit going out, you have that conversation in our meetings and say, hey, I went to high school with that guy. Maybe you need to assign somebody else, But I think at the same time, obviously with even the news of the day, we all are human and have our opinions on it, and you kind of check that at the door, you know. So you just kind of find ways to make sure that you're doing that in the most ethical way. But yeah, if it happened to do with somewhere like that my parents worked at, I would obviously recuse myself of that, or you just kind of are mindful of that. So and that's something I haven't had to experience yet before. So that'll be new for me. If you have to keep all of that in balance when you have that kind of going into it.
I'd like to ask, and I don't know if Case to Case, if they're giving you a gift or anything like that.
They didn't
but,
get him World's Fair Donuts.
That's true.
Well, but I have an idea for a gift for them to give to you. And it's really not something like a donut or, a watch or something tangible like that. It's if they could, and I've been pitching this idea, and I think you would accept this as a gift, Chris. If they could force Frank Cusimano to do his next Frank's Food Pigs at a cannabis dispensary in Collinsville, Illinois with some edibles.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Maybe on the way out you could say, hey, have you seen this?
Listen, hey, it's legal, and
Yeah.
that is must see TV. So I can't tell Frank what he picks his food picks and everything, but I'm on board with you. I'm
okay.
in support.
You know, that'd be
Yeah.
great for sweeps. That'd be hilarious if they say, we're going to send Frank to Collinsville, and then he has to tour the hill.
I've been out to cover that a couple times.
I saw some of your
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
And that is just. I recommend anybody just taking a camp chair and
just
and
watching?
Just watching, yeah. Well, especially the first day, like, and to that point,
And thank you for getting Green Wednesday
yes.
in one of your reports.
There you go.
Like if you had any perception of who you thought would be in line, go out there because it's everybody.
It's everybody, yeah.
It is not, it's
Yeah.
not these like your perception of a stoner or anything
Right.
like that. It's grandma in a print dress out there
Yeah.
trying to, figure out what, edibles are. I had the funniest situation the opening day, which was just a madhouse. And this sweet elderly woman came up and she goes, "Is this where you get the marijuana?" And I'm like, I think so. Yeah, I think
I'm
you
just
go
here to
in line
report the
over
facts,
there.
ma'am.
Yeah. So
It'd be
it's-
funny if Chris just went, well, I know a guy around the corner. If you want to go out with him real quick.
That's really why he was over there. Boy, if Frank does that, they're going to have emergency crews on standby at the Gatesworth. There would be people just.
well, that is true. If that might be a factor. If Mary Grace sees it,
Yes.
Now, are you worried? has any political officials in the Tennessee and Nashville area contacted you? Because everywhere you go, sir, political scandal follows.
Well, you
so-
start with those too. Don't you?
No, literally, like right off the bat in Alabama, Alabama's governor had a
Yeah.
scandal, and so I don't know if anybody's alerted Tennessee Governor Bill Lee, but just
I cannot wait to.
Does that Alabama dude? Is that the dude who was riding around on his horse for no reason?
no, that was Roy Moore.
Okay, my mistake.
With Alabama, much like sometimes with Missouri politics, it's not just one.
It's not just one. It wasn't that guy that resigned. No, that's the one that went to prison.
Right.
The one that resigned
Or
was the
even-
governor. The other guy was the county executive.
They might have already had. Did Nashville's mayor have an issue?
did.
because she
They
had
did, yeah.
relations
She was
with
banging her security
body
detail.
detail.
Bodyguard, and
He was guarding that body.
on city time too.
Oh,
That's what gets you. You know,
They're like, we don't care about the screwing. We care about the time theft.
Wait till after 5.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Isn't that what? If you were her husband, you're like, I'm gonna kill the. Damn it, the head of security's ex-Navy or something. Oh, it's the worst.
Write a letter. That's what I'm gonna do.
I'm gonna complain a whole lot.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna that political scandal, and there's.
it was funny. But when I posted the news, there's a friend of mine that actually works at the newspaper in Nashville, and was like, "Oh well, here we go. It's coming to us." You know? So-
The Davis effect. That's what we look
And so, I would like to think that I have some, and it's not like I've actually broken any of the stories that have led to that, but I think that also has something to say about the state of politics we're in right
Very
now. too,
true.
You know,
like no
it's-
matter where you plant a flag, there's a scandal somewhere underneath there.
Nothing, I think there's the operation in, years ago before social media that you had some sort of privacy, and that
Yeah.
just is,
Now it's gone.
now it's gone, and I think rightfully so, people should have a higher expectation for their elected officials and not to be, and I think we've talked about this before, but with all of these scandals, whether you pick Alabama, Greitens, Nashville's mayor, it's never usually the salacious part gets the initial attention, but it's always something else that like eventually takes them out of office, whether it's, computer tampering with Greitens and the donor list and all that stuff. You could go into a rabbit hole there, but I think that's the ultimate takeaway is it's usually something that they shouldn't have been involved in initially, and then something that they really should have been doing that eventually gets them out of office.
light, right?
Yeah.
What we need to remind everybody, this is no laughing matter that Chris Davis is leaving us and moving on to another city, but what is Sophie's tonight, happiest hour, St. Louis, 6 p.m. Come on out. That's right. We've got a killer lineup. Tina D-Ball's headlining it. She was just up on stage for like 6 sold-out shows with Dave Attell, and now you can come see her for free. She's there. Our friend JC Sabala, Justin Luke, and Jamie Fritz, who also is a headliner at clubs. It's going to be a good time. Jack Daniels presents it. You know where they hail from, Travis?
They hail from Tennessee.
That's right. And Davis is like,
multiple
sounds good.
Tennessees.
That's right.
Have you been to the distillery down there?
See, I gotta call my guy with the distributor. I need to make that happen. We need to get Travis swimming in a barrel of whiskey.
It's neat, and the irony is it's a dry county where it's
It
located.
is, yeah.
So you can the only way to consume, you can take their tasting tour, and they tell you, I guess it's a legal loophole that if you get less than an ounce, it's not considered. I don't know. They've been able to maneuver a little bit, but you can buy it, but can't necessarily
My
consume it
favorite
there on
part
site.
about southern dry counties is that you realize that it was masked in this morality thing, and it's all just a racket for whoever has control of the distribution.
Sure.
Really, it's I think it's in Murray, Kentucky. They're still like that, or there's still several areas in the South where it's like, no. They're just controlling you so they can sell more here or control how you.
Owning a liquor license a lot of times in those, or whatever makes the money. Usually you can trace it back to somebody's making a killing.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Is there a story here in St. Louis that you cover that's going to stand out the most to you? And if it's personal, you don't have to go too deep into it, but I'm curious. You've covered a lot of things over your time here. Was there a story that stands out?
I think my absolute favorite was the night that Layla Anderson got to meet her Be the Match donor. And because you see a lot of those stories and, companies meaning well come in and try to make it this, sentimental moment, and it comes across as staged, and that was not what they did. and they may even like did a lot of the production value, but the moment that they embraced was just such a genuine moment. And Layla has, I was talking to her dad Scott, who I've gotten to know quite well over the kind of the Blues run, and he was talking about how she has kind of reached at 11 years old this like cult personality, and celebrity status, and he was talking about the good and bad of that, and like, he said that one time they were in Target and like she was just kind of having, a day that we all,
being
had.
11.
Yeah,
being 11.
I was about to say, and I guess somebody either tweeted or something like saying, "Oh, Layla wasn't friendly to me" or whatever. It's like, she's 11,
Right.
and it's not like this is something that she absolutely chose, but chose to embrace and has used her, her journey to help so many people. They raised so much money at that event for Be the Match and to help other kids like her. So I think I think Layla's whole saga would probably fall into that category because she is just such a remarkable kid. She'd be a great guest for you guys to bring in at some point too. She's because and we always made kind of the running joke that if she ever decided to get into sports journalism, Frank was going to have to go,
out of his job.
yeah, go
That
back to Keemels. But yeah, I mean, she's that was such a fun story. I think just the Blues run itself was just such a
That's tough to top. Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, and just seeing how much it meant to so many people that have been waiting their entire lives, or everybody had just, I felt like anybody you could talk to had this just remarkable story. I remember the first day of play in this new season, talking to a guy that was there. They had that little watch party out in front of Enterprise for people that couldn't come in to see Raising the Banner, and it's just grown man, probably in his 60s, just bawling. And it's like, hey, it's, this is, the celebration of Raising the Banner. He goes, well, I had to work, through Game 7, and, I couldn't get off for the parade, so this is my moment to really kind of celebrate this moment. I don't know. It's just when you have those uniting moments in sports is just really fun. So
Absolutely.
It certainly is. If you guys are just jumping in, our friend Chris Davis at KSDK has accepted a job in his home state of Tennessee, and he's thrown a middle finger up and said, see ya, St. Louis.
I'm out for the big time. I'm out.
What restaurant are you going to miss?
ooh, that's a good. There's so many. This city does such a
What
great
will
job.
you crave while you're in Nashville?
Ooh.
Gardner's a man of many cravings. So
there are just lots. I love Joya's. I love Blue City Deli over in Benton Park.
Sandwiches, good.
I love breadsticks from Keemels
I know you.
that Frank brings in. There's just this city does a really, really good job of having those mom and pop, restaurants. So it would be tough to pick just one. I've kind of made a list of like the places I want to hit before I leave.
Dessert? Are you going to miss dessert-wise?
Oh,
not everybody has dessert after every meal. Gardner.
Ted Drew's, obviously. That's
Yeah.
that's
Good
obviously
Lord.
the classic, and any place that has gooey butter cake, I definitely jumped on the train
You
there.
just-
So
Look at
You
you.
know.
What a ham!
no,
He
but
knows-
seriously,
he knows
Frozen
how to-
custard
Yeah,
and gooey
yeah,
butter.
yeah.
I didn't mention T-Rabs, don't I?
Not
I
yet.
didn't go, but now that I bring it up, no,
Yeah.
no, but
Of course,
you know,
the hill.
Do you like cheese? Have you had Hank's cheesecake?
I have not. Where,
All right, Gardner,
where,
this is getting weird.
It's like Big Bend and Clayton, right? in
Okay.
Richmond Heights.
It's like two middle school kids being like, "Who would you do?" Gardner's getting that level of like.
I feel like I just turned into Cusimano.
You
I'm
did.
doing the no hedging. No hedging. Which restaurant? Go to restaurant. No, Frank would be though. All right, you've committed a terrible crime, and you're going to the electric chair. What's your final meal gonna be?
Like, whoa, this is a lot.
that is like a quintessential like
That is
hit
a
and
Frank was-
run.
yeah,
yeah.
Well, Frank, what did I do? Number one.
It's like these are supposed to be fast, and like the exposition is.
So,
Maybe a terrible person. Number one.
in the spirit of putting people on the spot, what could, and you've covered serious stuff. What could St. Louis as a community improve on, from an outsider's point of view?
Ooh. I was actually saying this to somebody the other day. I think, and this always is, a touchy subject, but some way to like improve some of the regional relations, because you just see such a fracturing, especially with St. Louis County and the 90 plus municipalities. Like there needs to be, I know everybody gets a little, and you have to do it the right way, so we'll qualify it that way.
Right.
But I think doing something that, that can kind of bring, I think people do a lot of comparisons to Nashville to St. Louis, rightfully so, because they're about the same size. And I think where Nashville has exceeded is because and succeeded is the state of Tennessee and that the whole all the surrounding counties, they kind of work as a team and don't compete for different businesses. And sometimes you hear that happen.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, and they get into bidding wars against themselves, and I don't know. So I think that's definitely something. And then obviously, crime is a huge thing.
One could
So.
help the other. You could
Yeah,
say.
Sure.
You could
I think there's
say
definitely a
that.
connection there. I think it's going to take a lot of effort, and I covered some of that yesterday. I went to the Governor Parsons State of the State, and there's this kind of unique. Like he's trying to push forward that he's working with the mayors on certain elements, but then House Democrats will come back and tell you, oh, well, he's picking the parts that he can work with. I don't know. It's obviously there's lots of elements to it, but I think taking a real at every level, people really getting serious about how you can cut down on crime, I think is going to be what it takes to really make a dent in that kind of stuff.
What's some of the best advice maybe you received while you're in St. Louis for some of the maybe news veterans you've had an opportunity to work in the newsroom with?
I had a long conversation with Ann Allred last night because she's off for vacation for her birthday starting today for a couple of days. So it was my last night with her, and she talked about. She goes, I think this will be a really good move because I think striking that work-life balance is so important,
that's
and
huge. It's
you can
huge.
with anybody you get plugged into something, you get excited about something, but actually remembering to have to have a life outside.
Of
And
course.
I don't think that's necessarily a huge problem. It's just something I think it'll be so nice to be able to at least. I don't know. I think it gets tricky when you get farther from home. You have to use all your vacation days just to go see family. And so
right.
that'll be really nice. And then I got a lot of friends that I haven't been able to really spend a whole lot of time with since I graduated college that I'm looking forward
That's
to
awesome.
reconnect with
That's
too.
awesome.
So
That should be a lot of fun.
yeah.
Who will you get the bachelor party beat or the bachelorette party beat? while you're in
That is a
Nashville?
cover. I would think it's a cover. No, I mean that when we officially surpassed Las Vegas is like the bachelorette capital.
Yeah.
The last time I was out on Lower Broad in Nashville, I counted 40 different bachelorette parties that were out jumping around. I was like, did we ask for this? Did we lobby for this? I don't. Can we take it back?
If that ends up being a job, Travis, we're sending you to Nashville.
Yeah, I'm
Bachelorette party correspondent, Travis Terrell.
Yeah. Trav, your producers. You got penis gummy in your beard.
That's just part of the job.
Cost of doing business.
I'm down at Lou's Bachelorette Emporium. There's a penis straw shortage down here, and they are going mad.
Oh, that's
They
perfect.
did. I think and I don't know if it's open yet, but there was, last I heard, a few years ago, they were designing a bachelorette-style hotel in downtown.
Oh, that just sounds
Perfect.
Oh, I would feel
Perfect.
all the people who would work there. I would feel so.
Better get a good rate for
Yeah.
for working there.
Yeah.
I hope they
Don't
give them
install
earplugs.
carpet.
Lots
Oh,
of
man.
Imagine that lobby at 2 a.m. Saturday morning.
I upgraded my room. I have no Coke mirrors. There are no mirrors to do Coke
concierge
on,
desk.
and we're here to party.
There's not enough money in the world for
No.
the concierge desk.
The custodian having to clean up. Like I said, as long as that hotel does not have carpet, you may be all right.
The sign behind the concierge says, "Ma'am, I am the manager."
Oh God, that sounds like a great, awful idea, and I want to see it.
It sounds like a
happen.
great, awful idea that also translates to a reality show.
show.
Yeah.
How does MTV
all
not
the
get
all the
in on
lobby
that?
TVs have Friends on repeat.
That's simple television programming right there.
I hope they're taking notes. I hope they're watching.
Yeah.
It's
Conference
all good
room
stuff,
completely
yeah.
dedicated to that final heart to heart before she gets married.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that I've always loved you.
The friend who hasn't been there for her in 8 years or lived with her, barely done anything, sitting there telling her I don't know if he deserves you.
You haven't even met him. you weren't even invited to the bachelorette party.
I don't know
why
you're
here.
Look, if Vanderpump Rules works, we can make this
Oh,
work.
no doubt about it.
I think
You're,
so.
you're welcome, Chris.
Yeah.
Is there something you can take down there?
Sure,
with you if you want?
absolutely.
Go for it.
A good feature story on how miserable a manager is.
Why did you get a budget for random assignment reporters from St. Louis to come down and cover bachelorette parties as a feature, Chris? That's news today, baby.
Okay, non-food. I'll ask a non-food question. What's a non-food place you're going to miss here? Like, is there a place? I won't even say. You can include a coffee shop or something like that, or a bar or something like that.
which Planned Parenthood did you frequent the most?
Yeah. or which overpass for weather coverage are you going to
do
miss
things
too?
besides
Tam.
Tam,
Tam is solid.
Yeah. You know?
Tam is solid.
In fact, the last snow that we had like a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
to make the point, I was like, let's go anywhere but Tam. Let's just, we'll go one past, one back. I think there's one just a little bit closer to that. You can still get the St. Louis wheel, you know, in the shot, which that is cool.
Oh, so maybe that's changing the power rankings of overpasses here.
maybe, yeah, maybe.
The
Maybe
official
so.
overpass
Tam
shot
is
of
the city one. I believe it's
Yes.
in the county. J.J. Kelly.
J.J. Kelly,
Yeah,
yep.
J.J. Kelly one is the one you want.
That's a big one. That's I never actually had to do J.J. Kelly. So
Really?
that's
That's
that
hilarious.
forever on the ungrasped on the St. Louis bucket list.
Damn, man.
What's one thing? Yeah, you're going to be sitting in your chair when you're older. If only I could have done that snowstorm at J.J. Kelly overpass.
That's great.
Will that
But
be
it's funny.
nice?
There in Nashville. There is kind of the quintessential overpass there too. It's the Fern Avenue,
Ooh,
overpass.
I'll
So
be
it's,
sure to
you know-
visit that when I go down.
Yeah, there we
I
go.
know.
Yeah, it needs a little historical marker. Like I think that's what Tam and JJ
They need
Kelly
plaques
need to. Yeah,
to mark
little
what they are.
plaques and
Yeah.
like little live truck hook-ins.
Yeah. Is there a park or a bar or anything like that?
That's a good question. I think, and I know this is, you're going to accuse me of being a St. Louis sensation, but Forest Park really is so remarkable and
Gardner loves
gorgeous.
some
Like,
Gardner's
Forest
just
Park.
making this all about him. Like, what pack of cigarettes and park bench do you appreciate the most?
It's the crown
But
jewel
it's-
of St. Louis.
but it's just the fact that there's just that big of
It
a
is
park in the
crazy.
middle of
It
the
is
city,
really nice.
and the stuff that's in it too. I mean the art museum really is absolutely gorgeous, and the exhibit in the history museum right now of all the Pulitzer.
Yeah, Gardner
Those
and
are
I
so
took a visit.
good.
We enjoyed
It's
the hell out of
amazing.
it. That was
Stunning.
good.
It's it's heavy too, so just
Yeah,
know what you're getting into.
we definitely we talked about that. We were like, yeah, that exhibit sits with you after you leave.
I
Yeah,
left in a
really
weird
just
mood
sits with you.
because it was like even I said before, the celebration photos.
Yeah.
Even there's a backstory to them that
Yeah.
art is
Yeah.
celebratory, and you're like, my God, what have I done? Like I just walked out of there like,
Yeah, Gardner was
I'm, like,
ahead of
walking.
me. He was ahead of me like 10 feet, and he basically yells back, "Be warned, it gets heavy." And I'm just like, what?
well, and
Oh,
I let him go by himself for a bit because I didn't want to be
oh.
around. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is something I think that if you're by yourself, it's okay to take in and reflect on.
Yeah.
Sure.
But no,
sure.
the stuff in Forest Park is, call it the crown jewel.
Can you
It's-
do just one thing, though, when you go to Nashville?
Yeah.
Do not tell them about the loop trolley. That's between
our own-
us.
that's our-
That's
our
what
private-
happens in St. Louis stays in
Yeah.
St. Louis. You don't tell anybody about the trolley in Nashville,
Thank you.
or they're going to think children who eat crayons run this city.
Yeah.
So don't tell them about the loop trolley.
Thank you. Thank you.
Between us, Chris. You
Don't think we won't roll up
Secret
down
safe
if
with
we
me.
hear you
Yeah.
talking.
yeah.
It's going to get weird.
I mean, make sure you reference it properly, Travis. when
Oh,
you
my
refer to
my
the loop
apologies.
trolley.
Oh, T-shirts
We are
available
selling-
at Buy Jack.
we
Sell
are-
T-shirts.
A streetcar name undesired, Chris. That's what we're.
I love it.
Once again, you
I
can
love it.
get those
And
T-shirts.
it may not be, you may have more reasons to sell because, they may bring it back. It may be resurrected.
Well, then just
you know,
get your
buy steak.
T-shirts right there.
Had that ready.
Perfect. Oh, man. Oh,
Wait,
we're
you-
laughing so
For
hard.
6 months, you covered a story about a trolley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They see that on your. They see that on your reel. They're
Yeah.
like, you have a lot of trolley stories. Why?
I will say that one of my favorite takes on that was we did a whole story perspective piece on what all has changed in St. Louis when the trolley had not moved an inch, like when they're still
amazing.
building it.
That's
So like.
outstanding.
At the rate they were going, there was a chance that the LA Stadium for Kroenke could have opened up before.
that would've hurt.
They finally got. That the stadium then saw some delays, so that did not come in. But we just went into like how every Radio Shack location closed in the same time that the loop trolley
Did
was
you-
still under construction. So
Did you have more fun putting that storyline together regarding the loop trolley, or fitting all the pot puns into your?
Ooh, that's tough. That's like picking between favorite children
Yeah.
or something like that. That's No,
I like
that truly.
the pot puns one. I liked when you introduced introduced one of the sound bites with. Others were more blunt.
Yeah, you
That
know,
was my
it's.
favorite one.
I'm glad you found some humor in it. I don't know if anybody else notices or cares, but entertains me. It
Yes.
sometimes
That's the
all.
key, really, with anything.
I'm not saying it, but it's when we have tough days, it's fun to have the ones where you can have a little fun with, and it's and it was you never know with that kind of stuff. And it's like I didn't know if some people that were out in line that might watch it and be, and I had like a bunch of messages from people like, "Hey, saw you out there, loved the story." I was like, "Oh, okay, well then we're good."
Yeah.
So
I do have a shirt for you too. I was supposed to give you a while ago,
Oh no.
and I know you probably were only going to be able to wear it like around the house, especially because it's a little political.
Okay.
But it's a Chesterfield County shirt.
There it is.
From
Didn't Rennie
when,
get one?
There it is.
Yeah, Rennie's got
Rennie
one.
got one.
I'm really glad that I can put that in the drawer. That's and I could wear it in Nashville and no one would
Nobody-
know what
yeah.
it
Right.
means.
Ooh.
And maybe not everybody around here would know what it means too.
Yeah,
but
it's
I
a
like
little
it.
Good.
esoteric.
But I like it. I like it a lot. That was of the different sagas. That one was interesting. I remember when that email came out of like, oh, so they may just do their own thing. Okay, that's cool.
There's a lot of that around here. We'll do it ourselves.
And then I got into it with one of the councilmen on Twitter briefly because I called Chesterfield the outlet store capital of St. Louis County, and I guess they didn't like that.
Oh, boy.
And then, hell, you don't have to come shop here. Of course, I said, well,
That
what's it going to
happens.
do when you're hoarding all the Brooks Brothers stores? What am I supposed to do? Put one in the city then. You got two outlets, and both have Brooks Brothers stores out there.
I like
But
that.
hey, we're St. Louis is getting a second Top Golf, so you can take that
know,
from
yeah.
Chester.
Is that
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah, they announced
doing
Top
it on
Golf
Shoto?
confirmed it. I think that's right. Yeah, it's over by SLU. Yeah.
That's outstanding.
That's
And
gonna be
St. Louis
wild,
will
man.
actually be the smallest city to get a second location. Like the other
Which-
ones are like Dallas and Chicago
Wait,
and stuff like that.
We're going to have a
so.
Top Golf and an IKEA.
Look at that.
Are they going to? You weren't here for the IKEA.
Take that,
No.
Nashville. You ain't got nothing on that,
And
son.
and Nashville doesn't have an IKEA, so you can't hold it over that. Yeah.
Take
The
that,
IKEA opening.
Alan Jackson.
Yeah.
It made me realize why we're a city that's a small town
Yeah.
when the IKEA opened, and everyone was culpable.
In the
Radio
media.
news,
Yeah.
television news. There were traffic copters flying over my apartment at 5 in the morning. I'm like, I thought something had happened. I got up and smoked and took a cigarette, and I'm like, it's the IKEA opening. And
Well-
it was unbelievable.
I remember I think I was still in Nashville when they made the big announcement. They said they were going to either do an IKEA in Nashville or Memphis, and Memphis got it, and there was outrage in the streets. Like, no, what do you mean we don't get the IKEA? Like it was
'Cause there was
the
such a big-
humanity.
Such a big deal made about it that I always thought that, like, especially in sports, you go
Yeah.
to the bar for live reaction, that you should. I was just going to start going to IKEA for
Sure.
the
Get
man on the
Swedish
street
meatballs,
reaction.
and
Yeah.
and get the hot take. I've only been in an IKEA once, and it like is overwhelming. Like
I know
it's-
someone who works there who got lost in the store on their way to their job interview.
That's
I
amazing.
totally believe
And that
that.
is not the first time it's happened there, apparently. And I had theorized that it was actually a test.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that if
It
you
separates
actually,
the weak from the strong.
and
yeah.
if you actually made it, you were automatically hired.
After your 3 days journey,
Yeah.
we've decided to hire you here at IKEA.
Here's $12 an hour.
So I have a little collage here,
Oh boy.
just of some of the pictures I found.
Are these Pulitzer
Yeah,
Pulitzer
very
winning
close.
photos? Yeah.
We started with Greitens. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you. Let's do Frank Cusimano now. You ready for this?
Right.
One word to describe these stories. Okay. Let's start with story of the year. Greitens.
Ooh.
Ooh is his word.
Yeah,
Nice.
that actually,
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Not
would be perfect
intentional,
way,
but
yeah,
that,
like,
that actually works
ooh.
really
I
well.
think that's the reaction we all have. You're like, ooh.
Okay.
Yes, that would have been the reaction.
As I called it, sting operation. Steve Stinger going to prison.
That you could also maybe use the same. You know,
this is
ooh. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Let's see. Yeah. I guess just when you heard more and more about it, it might fall under the really like
Yeah.
it's,
There you go.
Like
There you
it's,
go.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
Come on.
of some of the antics within his office of like a
Yes.
whole big liquor cabinet and video game systems and
Yeah.
stuff. Like that. What were you?
Okay, I
what
gotta
were
take
you
that down. Yeah, that's the one thing I'm still upset about. If anyone could score an interview and find out what games he was playing, I'd like to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
That's the one question I have left.
What
for
if
that.
what if he like cut live to him in prison and he just like Madden? Like, would you be
I'm like, oh, I respect
surprised?
I
Yeah.
respect
No,
it.
I'd like to know.
The question that I will want to see play out is, will either one of them try to do a political comeback? You know, and could that even happen? I don't think it could happen here, maybe, but you know, if
And
either
that
one of them
those
resurfaces
Greitens
somewhere.
whispers are still there.
You know, he was spotted at like a Veterans Day event in Virginia this year, like in, you know, and kind of back out in public. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if either one of them try to mount a comeback, or what their backup jobs become. You know,
I think I can definitely see a return for Greitens. There's something about
Now,
Greitens that lets me know that he's
The
coming
Blue
back.
Stanley Cup.
I think you had to channel your Brett Hall,
Yeah, that
What
is-
especially that picture too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I told you I ended up finding that guy again at the parade.
Yes.
And then he added me on Facebook.
That's amazing.
That's outstanding.
Normal guy though, right?
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Okay.
I thought
Very bad.
I thought we'd get a yeah. He'll be at my
Blues
yeah.
fan, man. He's a Blueser.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Very passionate. Very passionate.
Oh God.
The Loop Trolley.
Passionate. Yeah.
I think a lot of these are falling in the same category, but like you know, like yeah, it's
Okay. The weather in St. Louis. Because you did a lot of weather coverage.
random. Like it just
Random?
you know it's whatever you know. Every day is a little bit different, quite literally. Like you know we'll
May
have snow and ice potentially tomorrow.
Bipolar.
And there's one that's not like job related, but I think it goes to Chris coming to town.
It does.
And Chris involving himself in the community. And I
does.
think it also allows us a moment to promote a good organization as well. But the picture in the bottom corner there, if you could.
Yeah,
Who is that?
That is Nicholas Washington. He is my little brother with Big Brothers Big Sisters.
That's
And I will
awesome.
say,
That's awesome.
yeah. Leave that. That is the you know hardest
Yeah.
part
Yeah, of
of
course.
leaving. We have fit a lot of different last kind of outings.
So you guys were at the aquarium recently?
Yeah, we went to the aquarium over the weekend, which is pretty
That's
cool.
awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
he is an incredible kid. Actually, that picture from that story was, and that was, I guess, about a year ago, either this or next month. His dad at the time had a pretty chronic lung condition, and his for that story, Nick actually saved his dad's life. He was going into like a situation where he was losing consciousness and wasn't getting, and he was able to call 911, and they were able to get him to the hospital. So the station let me do a story on him for being able to,
That's
you know,
awesome.
to knowing what to do, because a lot of people,
Yeah.
kids at that age, you know, wouldn't necessarily know.
Mm-hmm.
His father has passed since,
Man,
but
so sorry to hear that.
but he's an incredible kid. He will continue to. I told him, you know, when we were when I had to tell him that I was leaving, that we'll stay connected, stay texting, stay calling, and I do, you know, a vested interest in coming back and visiting St. Louis would be to come and continue to be a part of his life. He's a really great kid.
Well, that's
amazing.
I think that's also a testament to Chris as you as a person. We've enjoyed having you on here, but like it means a lot to us, especially coming from this area, for people who don't just come in, fly in, just do their own thing.
Yes.
You embedded yourself in the community, and I think that means a lot. We really appreciate that.
Sure. No, you know, I mean, I always tell, you know, the what kind of sold doing Big Brothers Big Sisters for me was, you know, we were sitting in the newsroom at an editorial meeting, and they said that there are 800 boys on the waiting list in St. Louis to get matched up. Because initially I was like, well, you know, I don't know how long I'll be here. I don't know how much time I have. And I just got thinking about it. It's like they really, you know, the base minimum is 4 hours a month. We all have 4 hours a month,
Yeah.
you know. And when there's that many people waiting, you know, you might as well at least give as much time as you can.
Yeah.
And everybody said this to me going in, and I kind of took it with, you know, along the roll, but it really is true. You get so much out of it yourself as you hope that they get out of it too. And so I also just felt, you know, like when we do stories like that, I don't want it to be a, you know, do as I say, not as I do. Like if we're saying you should sign up, then you should sign up too, you know.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would encourage anybody and everybody
That's awesome.
to think about that, because, you know, we all have 4 hours you can spare, and it really is. It's been one of my favorite things to do.
That's
here,
awesome.
So.
That's really
What a
cool.
way to shut it down. Some quick notes before we get out of here. Do come to Gastro Pit tonight. We've got the late comedy show, 8:30 kickoff on the Hill. late night barbecue that Gardner has guzzled down on a many occasion. It's so good. So we got the 2 comedy shows tonight, and big thanks to St. Louis Counseling Services for backing our show. Check out their podcast, Mental Health Matters, which records here. Also, we've got another new podcast. It's The Dietitian Against Diets. Rashonda Thornton, she's on TV throughout town all the time. It's a great listen and a lot of very interesting guests. And big thanks to Gateway Powder Coating. They support us. They've supported us for years. Check them out, gatewaypowdercoat.com. They're the #1 powder coating resource in the Midwest. Maybe before Chris takes off, he needs some wheels touched up, and he'll run out to Gateway Powder Coating in O'Fallon. Chris Davis, KSDK, formerly soon KSDK.
They still have me for the rest of the day. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Still currently of that. Travis, any final words from Mr.
Man, thank
Davis?
you so much. No, we really appreciate you hanging out with us when you have the time.
What a
and
blast.
It's been a blast. It's been a pleasure
Thank
meeting
you for having me on. This has always been a highlight. It's been so much
Awesome.
fun. It kind of gets us out of the normal routine. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You've
But
done
don't-
great work. And
Don't
Gardner,
let
thanks for
Frank
making that connection.
Cusimano represent this city. Just that's all I'm saying.
We're so much more. What a way to end
See
it.
you tomorrow, Frank. At the Billikens game, I'm sure we'll sit by each other.
Oh, God. For Gardner, for Travis, for Chris Davis, his final time as a St. Louis, and we'll get him back on sometime soon, maybe through the old V-Mix. But thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Guys, thanks to Erica Rhodes for coming in. She's at Helium tonight, and we are back live tomorrow, 8 a.m. We'll have Chris Kattan on the show, our friend Gavin, who's in a contest with Lincoln right now. That's fantastic. And I guess Yale's going to stop by as well. So we'll see you then. Thanks, everybody.